What's up, runners? We have a bit of a opening here before our actual opening. This is to let you know that we originally recorded this episode of Not Great in May, right after the alpha finished up. We were going to release it earlier, but a lot of things happened. We were busy, sick, taking turns being sick for like a month, and we just got back into the swing of things. And we were going to be, going to push this episode out about 2 days ago. It would be the start of July. And it turns out that somehow we accidentally both individually deleted both copies of our footage. So we're back to re-record this entire episode to give you guys. So we're going to be going over our notes as they were. We have our original notes with us. I know things have developed since we originally recorded this. We know that there's going to be a delay in the game we're launching, which we both agree is a good thing, and you'll probably hear us talk about that later. We probably have a note about that, wanting that in here, but we wanted a lot more testing anyways, so we're on board with that happening. But we're gonna pretend while we reread our notes that we are before they announce this, just to keep it to our original vision, and then going forward, once we do the next episode, we will go ahead and talk fully about what a delay means for the game. Do you have any additional things to add on there, Justin?
Yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah, we
you
are
know,
sorry.
we're happy that you guys are joining us. It feels really great to get back behind the mic, so to speak. But yeah, no, it was very unfortunate. We were both like sort of purging audio. Okay, well, at least I was, and I accidentally deleted everything. So, I was the backup to his backup, and then I don't know, telepathically we sort of connected, and we said, "Hey, let's delete the episode."
Yeah.
It was a very funny and not funny moment at the same time because again, we had you know, such an insight before everything had happened of how we felt about the game, which is why I mean, I don't know if we'll post our notes or not, but if you do see our notes, you could see that we pre-wrote this way before, and we're not super scripted. Hey, you're gonna see that too. There's just bullet points, okay? If it showed. But yeah, no. Again, we appreciate you guys re-listening to our take on what we played. Again, it was an enjoyable experience, and I don't want to sort of give away too much till we get into it, okay? But again, we're sorry, but we're so committed to getting this back out for you guys. So we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, and with that, let's roll the intro.
Not great, a phrase that has surrounded the extraction shooter Marathon. Bungie had opened the doors to the public for their latest alpha test. Unfortunately, it was met with massive criticism, both fair and unfavorable. Though Sato and I are big fans of the franchise, we wanted to share our unbiased opinion about our hands-on experience with the alpha.
For anybody who missed episode 1, I'd probably watch episode 1 of Not Great first before this to get our we didn't even know the alpha was happening conversation. Before you come into episode 2, which is the one that we're doing now, where we're going to talk about our experience with the alpha. We both got in. We played together. We played with Jake, Marathon Intel, and some other people. Marathon Intel on YouTube, not Twitter, right? Because he had the Twitter handle taken.
Yes.
And there was a guy on Twitter that was being a butthole. That's the setup, right?
That is correct.
For Intel situation. Yeah. So Marathon Intel, great guy. Check him out as well. We're going to have footage up for most of this. I have enough footage. I know Justin has enough footage to cover this whole thing. So you can watch some gameplay footage while we talk about the game. But yeah, we're going to talk about our experience with the alpha. We're going to talk about the technical state of the alpha, the access to the alpha, the gameplay, the economy, things we wanted to see in the game, things we liked, things we didn't like. Pretty much everything we could fit in here. So I think we should start off with our general like issues with the alpha itself, because while we did get in, a lot of people didn't get in, and we know it's an early piece of testing content, but with so much public eyes on it, I kind of hoped to see a lot more people than we ended up seeing. I know you did as well, Justin. We had a lot of keys not go out, and it took a long time to get people in each wave. Like every day, maybe like 100 to 1,000 people got in. It felt like, and there was 50 to 60,000 people trying to get in. So I don't think I had a lot of issues with the actual technical state of the game. I didn't really have anything break that I noticed. Maybe some textures here or there in game, but nothing crazy. How did your experience go? You're on console, right, Justin? On Xbox?
Yeah, yeah. I had received like 2 crashes at the maximum, where it just went black screen and just kicked me out of the game. But that was at the menu, so it was like never, or I think one of them might have been at the start of the game, and I was able to rejoin. So, but other than that, like not a lot of sort of technical issues, like no hit reg, which kind of surprised me because I feel like, especially in an alpha, most games like this, you're gonna sort of receive hit registration issues. So thank goodness that wasn't a thing. And then in terms of like, few codes, yeah, I think that was, one of my big critiques from that alpha was that we didn't have a ton of codes go out. So like there was like plenty of my friends that I would have loved to also play with. Aside from, again, I loved playing with you and Marathon Intel. But I have these buddies that like, we have been dying for an extraction shooter on console, and it's been such an unfortunate wait. All we've had was like DMZ, Hunt Showdown, and then a lot of the love for an extraction shooter just comes from watching hours and hours upon hours of freaking extraction gameplay. Either like me watching you or me watching Dr. Lupo or like sort of any other sort of extraction shooter, creatives, and that sort of this inspired my love for the game. So finally having that chance to be able to play it on console, I wanted to break the seal with my buddies, and unfortunately, because of the low number of keys, we weren't able to all play. And luckily I got in, and again, huge shout out to Bon. He made sure that I had a code to be able to play. We didn't even get to play, but because I mean I'm sure his servers would have been insane when we played. One, it's an alpha, and two, his location is just like so far.
True.
But it was still, I'm still very grateful. So again, Bon, I love you. Me and Bon, we're he's got a special place in my heart. As first collab, I always sort of connected with Bon. So again, huge thank you. But yeah, that was the biggest issue. I mean, that kind of like, aside from no real technical issues and the issues with the our unfortunate how would you say our ability to not sort of have keys, there were other issues, right? There was things that sort of, listen, I love Marathon and I enjoy the IP. I enjoy the fact that it's going to be an extraction shooter. I know there's a lot of negativity sort of surrounding this game. And that we could dive deeper again in another podcast. But what I'm prefacing is the fact that like that I enjoyed this game, but I have my critiques too, right? Like we played the alpha and there was a lot of things that I seen, okay, this can be fixed, or like they need feedback for this particular, design that they were making. I don't know about you, but I filled out all the surveys. I made
Yeah,
sure to
for sure.
give as much detail as possible. in
And
the things
I think
at the
it's
time that I
important.
saw. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's important to note, right now at the start of this, because the rest of this is gonna have a lot of our critiques of the alpha. But we had a great time playing the alpha. Even today, as we're re-recording this, we were just reminiscing about how fun it was to play this game. And I think a lot of reasons the low amount of keys hurt the game is I feel like the game is more fun to play than it is to watch. Now I feel that way about a lot of games, but like Tarkov, people spectate Tarkov a lot, and it's so fast paced, and you can kind of tell what's going on at all times. This game, it's something that you have to like play to really feel. It felt like, but you, me, Jake, even my friend Brendy, who is someone in some of the footage, all kind of miss
Yeah.
playing it. It was fun to play. It was a really great time, funny to try and learn together. Um, this all comes from a place of we want to see the game improve. We love the concept of the game. We love extraction shooters. We want to see this game succeed because the IP is interesting, the setting's interesting, as well as just the premise of doing an extraction shooter. Bungie making it, it feels great to play. So we are really happy with the foundations, but we have a lot of critiques on how the fine details could be improved, and that's what this video is mostly going to be about.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of things that we loved, and there's a lot of things that, like you're saying, that needs improvement. But that's the point of an alpha, right? I understand like this game has had such hell in terms of like how it's been being developed, and I think that with Joe Ziegler sort of taking the helm, you could tell that at least it started to formulate more vision and feel towards a proper extraction shooter. So that I will say, and I want to give them credit for to that degree. And you could, again, critique it, as they say, 6 ways to Sunday. But I still applaud them and what they've showed us thus far. And I know this game has insane potential, and it's not like it's sort of without its good base. I still think there's a good base there. I still think that the game, now being given the right amount of time to sort of flesh out some more, is going to be great. And we're going to have something that is going to be special in the extraction shooter genre that we still won't get in every other place. And I will say this before we continue into the issues with the alpha. Something at least I wanted to quickly address is that a lot of people say, like, what does this extraction shooter sort of do differently? Well, it's an extraction shooter. And listen, not every game has to have that unique nature to sort of be like, this is the one because of, right? It doesn't need a gimmick. I think in terms of an extraction shooter, it's going to be fun in itself. Like I said, it's sort of just taking off, and let's all give it a moment and see where they take it. But anyway, let's get back into the issues of the alpha. I hate it. No, I'm just kidding. So one of the things that was a big critique for me was, we got the announcement of the extraction shooter. I'm super excited. We're seeing Marathon. They release at the end of the stream. And if you want to see our reactions, actually Sato has the reaction video on his channel. So
I do. You're
Yes.
so right. That
he
is
should probably
uploaded.
link it below.
I probably should see if I can find the link.
We were all super excited. And one of the things that we really loved was that sort of like the end clip, right? By one of the, I think it was Love, Death, and Robots directors. He directed an episode. They had him, I forget his name, so I do apologize. But they had him sort of develop a short, an animated short, and it was gorgeous, right? It was graphic realism, but it was gritty. And one of the things that when playing this alpha, and I know at some point they will address, but is the fact that like graphic realism needed to be more heavily expressed, in my opinion, right? Like sort of outdoor
Yeah.
locations, right, were sort of not, I don't know, they were, you could tell a little bit more unfinished. And again, understood this is an alpha. That being said, I needed to see, I wanted to like just be thrown in there and just feel like holy crap, like I could see all the expressions of this beautiful art style, but also I needed that sort of gritty, more realistic sort of aspect of the graphic realism, right? Like I didn't need
Yeah.
super fake looking grass.
Right.
If that
And
makes
there was
sense.
a lot of the outside areas looking a bit flat compared to the insides. And then everything looked very clean all the time. You know what I mean? Like kind of sterile. And that's something that, no matter what, if it was an alpha, that's something they could have tuned later, adding more grit, more detail to the outside. But in the alpha, it was pretty muted, I would say, compared to the trailer art style. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. So and there will be more about like the how would you say, the design of the game as well. A little bit further, we'll talk more in depth about the world. But in terms of graphics, yeah, like again, I wanted it to feel more gritty. Again, it needed to be this beautiful marriage of like what we saw in the first like little short as well as the second. It had that sort of like you can tell, wow, this is like a next gen game, and it didn't feel just cell shaded. Like again, I
Hmm.
still think that there was a lot of beautiful art in this game. Again, interior design, gorgeous. You go in the tunnels, it's so beautiful. The lighting in certain aspects and the interiors were gorgeous. But then when you go on the exterior and even the characters a little bit, they just feel cell shaded, and I'm not a huge fan of just cell shaded. I want it to feel again like a next gen, like holy crap, look at the quality of these graphics, right? Like they need to like just blow my mind. And that's what like the trailers did for me. Even the first one. The first one you could take like it wasn't as gritty, but you could feel the sort of empty atmosphere. But you could also see the gorgeous vibrancy of the graphic realism, and as well as like the next gen detail and graphics of what they were creating, and that's what I want to see more of going forward.
Hmm.
Yeah, and just so people are aware as well, if we didn't show, um, you know, if I'm talking a lot, Sato did also give his review, so that's why it might be a little bit more heavy for me. I haven't had that chance to sort of give my thoughts. The
Yeah.
next thing, in terms of design, customization. Um, I wanted
We
to
got
see more of
none.
it. None. Yeah, I not even just I more of it. There was nothing. And that I think is very disappointing. One thing that we know and love about Bungie is the fact that we like have customization. Like Bungie can come up with some cool designs, be it even in vein of like sticking towards classes, right? Like for example, like a Titan in Destiny 2, a Titan or a Warlock or a Hunter, they all have sort of like distinct, visual appearances that who they are, but you still have that freedom of expression in almost like designing the character in however which way you want. And that's something that's missing from this, from the alpha, that I think was sorely mistaken that we didn't have by that point. And yeah, I want to see that. And if they don't do that, I will be thoroughly disappointed, right? Like I don't need to play an extraction shooter that doesn't have some semblance of customization. Because here's the thing, I know it's something really small, especially for first person, but to me, I like to express what I look like. I like to express myself. I like for people to feel unique. It's almost like buying clothing. I hate having the same shirt as somebody else. It drives me nuts, right? And granted, there are people out there that have the same shirt as me. That being said, I want it to feel unique. I want to myself feel unique in my team, right? Even though I'm running Blackbird and probably like the only one. But I think that, I want to sort of, I want to feel different. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, that's a huge part. What was your sort of idea on that? Did you feel the same way, Seto?
I have always been a proponent that I prefer to play my own character than play preset characters. I bit my teeth, playing COD growing up, and when they added in like different appearances for your characters, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then eventually I ended up, playing Overwatch, and Overwatch was fine. I'm okay with hero games, but after playing Destiny for so long, I also like to choose what my character looks like. I think it's totally possible to have, Halo-esque customization options. Like maybe we could change out different headpieces and stuff like that, and different chest pieces and different legs or something like that. And then it doesn't have to be, I could put Glitch's head on Void's body, but at least give us options to mix and match for that character specifically. So we have free options for Void. And I have a fear that they're going to only have cosmetics be paid, and they're going to be just skins where you buy the skin and that's it, right? I want more piecemeal. They've said they're going to have end game unlockable cosmetics. I want some of those to be character parts. I would like to maybe, if you prestige in a season, you get to reset your rank, and you get a unique arm piece design for every character. So you can see like the gloves your character is wearing are a thing that you have unlocked for prestiging in season 1, and you have that for all your characters for the rest of the game's lifetime, right?
Yeah.
I want something like that. I don't want skins. I'm not a big skin fan. And they've shown off skins. They haven't shown us much more about customization. And I think part of that is, one, they're probably going to have skins, if not skins and regular customization. But they also probably think it's going to be a big talking point, and they probably don't want to talk about monetization yet in the post release.
Yeah.
But that's what I think about customization.
I think, like, to your point, if they offer skins, like, it needs to be at least kind of like Destiny, in the way where, like, I can mix and match my headpiece, chest piece, you know what I mean, leg, arms. I think that would be really awesome. Again, I would like something more in depth, right? Like, I would love to change the hue of my character's color, right? Like, I love green, I love orange, I love pink, right? Like, I want to be able to sort of incorporate that throughout my character. And I want different headpieces in the way of, like, like, man, I love Blackbird's design, first off. I think she's really sick. Just in her base sort of skin, and she almost has, like, all the colors that I personally jive with. That being said, I think it would be really cool to, like, that USEC armor that we see in that first trailer. I want that. I want somebody to sort of look like White Rabbit as well. So I hope that that's something that we see in the future. And last sort of thought on customization, to your point, Sato, I think it would be even cool to sort of tie skins to lore stuff. I think that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, as an addition of just endgame, just because it's like, you could be like, yeah, I solved that, that lore, or I went through it, right? And because maybe some of
you got puzzles for
exactly.
hidden ones. Yeah,
I think that would be spectacular. So let's hope that they do that. Bungie, we know you're listening. Please listen.
You don't even have to pay royalties.
Continuing on, one of the things that the alpha also needed, and again, this was noticeable when there wasn't enough keys out. It kind of had me be like, oh yeah, there needs to be that mode. Especially because how the game plays. I think that there needs to be a solo mode for sure. Like we need to be able to like if I have no friends, I need to be able to just enter in and just play against another solo, right? I think that
Yeah, and we're not talking queue up solo with randoms. We're talking solo queue into solo queue.
yeah. One of the things that I could say is like, having to like queue with randoms was pretty hell for me. Um like I one thing that sort of like bothered me about again it's I ran into some. Listen, I love you, marathon community, but some of you are stupid, okay? I'm speaking so mean. But
No, not you, chat. It wasn't you. I know it
listen,
wasn't you.
yeah,
You're okay.
yeah. It was a Sad House community, Bond, Jake's, all the ones, Discord community. Listen, Jake's Runners, I love you. Okay, my community, very small view of you. I love you, but some of them other people, not you. I'm not talking about you. They're a bit idiots, okay? And not to say, listen, I wasn't. Listen, Sada was picking me up, okay? You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna pretend I was a perfect gamer.
Everybody's
but
an idiot to somebody else.
yeah, you know what I mean? Listen, we all got it. We all got the idiot bug. You know what I mean? So that's not what I mean. But like, there was just some instances where I would be knocked, right? And like me and Marathon Intel at one point, I remember we were knocked. The guy had an easy res, and he just left us and ran away, and that was it. And that was our experience. You know what I mean? So, and there was like just so many things that like I'm sure you could picture, sort of make sense as to like what I mean by that was like kind of like idiots that we played with. So it just made my experience like it hindered it a lot because it's not like Tarkov, right? Where you can sort of like headshot and knock a person down right away, and that's something that I'm sure we're going to touch on later, so I won't drone on too hard about it. But we don't have that ability to sort of do that turnaround on somebody because we have shields and we have all
Low
these
damage
other
per shot.
yeah, and
Right.
it's not like I can knee you and now you're damaged and you have to sort of play into that particular survival element that is an extraction. I mean, hell, even in the Delta Force game, you can injure a player, right? So, but you can't do that in this game. There's like no injury system. So, aside from just getting knocked. So, I think that makes soloing a 1v3 a little bit more difficult because it's like you're playing Warzone, right? And when you're playing Warzone, you can 1v3, but you have to get the right hits and you have to be using the meta weapon. And an extraction shooter, an extraction shooter.
You're technically not wrong. That is the correct term, I guess.
In an extraction shooter, you're kind of at the behest of like sometimes when you're doing a run, you're not having the best gear yet, right? Like you don't have the option like COD where I could choose the meta gun because I grind it out in multiplayer and I have it, right? Or
Right.
like everybody's running the same gun and it's meta and it's gonna take the guy down. Like, no, I'm gonna be running an overrun. Like, what am I gonna do with that? Versus 3 people. It's like maybe I could down one guy, but then the other 2 guys are gonna snap on me and I gotta run. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
you don't.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that's like my issue with the whole solo experience is not necessarily that you have to, play by yourself or queue with randoms. It's that you, as a solo piece, don't have, you have a cap on how much you can contribute to a fight. When it takes you, a default AR that you have to run, you don't really get any options, and it takes you an entire mag to kill one person with headshots. If you're playing it well against 3 people who can team shot you, because the time to kill is so long, it kills your ability to do that 1vx scenario, right? And as an alternative to like being a solo mode, if the game was just more balanced around one person being able to cleanly win a 1v1 without taking damage being expected, then it opens up how much you could contribute individually. Because even if you're playing with a team of 3 of randoms, and that's the only way to queue up, if you're able to, 2-3 tap one person at a time in a different team, and you could fight them realistically without your team being there, then you wouldn't really need a solo mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's like a balancing act that could be done, because Tarkov is about equally as fun solo or in a team, because any one of you could one shot anybody else on the map, even your teammates, right? So like you could one shot 4 guys on the other team and then kill your teammate, and they got nothing to do about it.
And that's the thing is like,
but
I just wish that there was a more, and I'm sorry if I interrupted, but
no,
I wish there was more of that ability to sort of, again, and I know in our notes we'll touch on this later, but I just really wish that there was that injury system, right? Like, again, a game like Delta Force has shields, right? But they also have areas where you could just leg somebody and you could break their leg, right? Like, one thing that I love about extraction shooters, it's the thought of like, okay, it's not like a battle royale again. It's more or less, do I want to take this fight? Like, I have more of a chance because I could injure this guy, and this guy's gonna think, 5 times more before wanting to push me because he could die. He's not gonna come back, right? Or for the fact that, like, if he does come back, his teammates can die, or he's gonna get winged in the leg, and now he's gonna know he's gonna have a slower swing on me, as opposed to just taking on the fight, or because then he's gonna maybe want to heal, or he's gonna want to keep his distance. So I think that, like, that is kind of one of the things that I would admit is missing from this, at least the alpha in the game so far. Again, we'll touch more on that a little bit later, so I don't want to dive too much into those details. But one of the other things in talking about solo mode is I really wish, the hero system works, and I knew Joe Ziegler can make it feel good, but I just still really wish that there was a single runner. I didn't want to have, how would you say, I didn't want heroes. I really didn't, and this is more, I could confidently say, a hero-based system more than like a class-based system, because the class-based system,
Yes.
they're faceless, right? Voiceless a little bit, right?
Well,
It's just
I wouldn't
male,
say as much
female.
that.
Yeah.
It's more that a class system would be more something where, say, Void, for example, in a class-based system, Void would have maybe 6 abilities to choose from. You get to pick 2, and then like 4 passives to choose from, and you pick 2 of those. So you're customizing them,
Yeah.
but you're not. But they have like a restricted set. So like it might all be different ways of using smoke bombs, right? Instead of the line of smokes, maybe you could also do like a giant dome of smokes, or you could do instead of throwing it out straight in front of you, you throw it out and it expands horizontally instead. That's the kind of thing like a class system would have. But yeah, this is just a hero system.
Yeah, no,
it's just
just straight hero system, and that to me is like, it was disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, right? I was on the train being like, it's the hero ideas, like, it's totally being overblown. Let's give him a section, or a moment. I mean, and then what ended up happening was, it was just like, it's a hero system, and I was like, oh, I just wish, like, again, I had my own runner. I customize their phase. I have options of voice. and I could mix match and abilities, with what I wanted. Maybe, and now this would be super overpowered, but like maybe I have like the invisibility, but I have like the spider from Blackbird, you know what I mean, to slow enemies down. And then I could have the smokes from, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting her name, Glitch. And like that would have been really cool, but like I have to find these items, right, in order to have these abilities within the game. I think that would have been awesome. Like maybe we have certain passives, but we need to find like actual the abilities within the game. That to me would have been more fun, or at least if I can have the option of and like level up and I get certain abilities and I can mix match and and have like just a base core ability that I could apply to my character. That's what I thought they were originally doing, which is what it sounded like way back when all the leaks and stuff were coming out, as well as the injury system. But we'll talk about that later. But so I was disappointed that they took that out. Again, one of the things that I feel like people sometimes take for granted is self-expression is really huge in a game. One, it's great to monetize, and two, just in general, players like to feel like they themselves are in the game or like an extension of who they are is being represented in the game. And the fact that they sort of took that out was disappointing. And I hope by some grace that they would figure that out and the hero system would go, but I don't know. One of the things that was also missing from the alpha, proxy chat. One of the things that was super disappointing, that, to be honest, isn't always needed, but I think it's a core feature for an extraction shooter that builds the community aspect of it. For example, if I'm running solo in a trio lobby, I want to be able to sort of connect with people. Hey, let me join you. Hey, can you please leave me alone? I'm trying to do a run. And it just offers up for like some funny moments. Not
Yeah, you could be standing outside a building and be like, I'm going to get you. I'm outside. I'm coming for you, Void. I heard you.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Just start, hounding him, or I killed your buddy. You know what I mean? And
he had a nice long shot. Same if you took a shot from it.
Double barrel. I love them green shields. Ooh, you know what I mean? And like for me, I mean, as a voice actor, you know how many funny things I could do and say. Like I could just have a blast with it, and it's unfortunate that they sort of, took that out. Or like, for example, when they do sort of lore stuff or, eventually they talk about like raid-like mechanics and, I'd hope to see that more throughout. It would be great to sort of connect, especially like as AI gets stronger and you being able to team up if you want to. And taking that away, it's just like, oh, I'm not hearing them, so I'm just going to kill them. Because I don't know if I could trust them. You know what I mean? I'm just going to... just have the teabag system to show we're friendly.
Yeah, proxy chat makes the game not only more community-driven, it makes it more dynamic. Because you can team up with people, you can build rivalries, you can build friendships in the middle of a game. So there's just more things that can happen apart from you shoot people when you see them. And it's just something that you can't do without proxy chat. And from experience, I have played 2 extraction shooters that came out without proxy chat and then put proxy chat in them, being Tarkov and Hunt. I played both of them before they had proximity chat. And after proximity chat comes out, they get so much more fun. Even to this day, like there are plenty of stories of people on YouTube have, of them getting into a really weird conversation with some random in a building that just completely changes the way the game plays out, whether they're killing each other or terrified of each other, or someone just says something really stupid that's a funny bit. It's that kind of stuff that makes people interested in watching and playing the game.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion.
And a part of what you were saying in terms of like, community, this kind of like is a great segue to talk about, one of the things that disappointed me was like, I can't res an enemy player. You know what I mean? I get knocked and I just stay there, even if I'm solo, and nobody could res me. I think that's just so disappointing. Like, right? Like this is even a feature that I saw in DMZ. Like a player can join my team and he could res me. Um, if they wanted to. And I at least want the option to be able to pick up enemy players, because, for example, maybe I initially shot someone because I thought, he freaked me out, stranger danger, I need to lay this guy out. But then at the end of the day, he's like, hey, I'm not going to kill you. Like, I'm being for real. Like, I just want to team up. Let's team up, please. I'm a solo. And let's say I'm with Sato and it's just us two. We could be like, do we want to? We could have that moment, one in proxy chat, talking to the guy. And then we could talk amongst ourselves and be like, yeah, let's res him. And then being able to sort of, pick up that character. And then now he's with us. Maybe not showing up in our little, UI showing team, but at least like being able to pick him up and now he's running with us, right? And I think that just adds another layer of community and connection. And it's just very disappointing that that's like not an ability. Like, I think you could even res people in like a game like Arc Raiders or any other extraction shooter, for the most part.
Yeah. You can't in Tarkov or Hunt, which is the only two I have played. So
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I just think it'd be a cool feature. Again, it has a huge, I think, component to building community. What are your thoughts? Would you want to pick up, an enemy player by chance?
I think it would be an interesting dynamic. I wouldn't say no to them putting it in the game. But I'd also be hesitant to be like, yeah, they should just add it in and then you could just res them whenever, because then you could just sit there and grief people for who knows how long, because there's not like a limit to resing people, or it could lead to just people being angrier later. I wouldn't say no to it, but I wouldn't say it's like high on my list of things that I need in the game,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that, oh yeah, okay. Again, it was just something that I think would be cool, right? I don't think it's like super high up. It's not a deal breaker. I want to also specify that. But it was something that I think I would like to see. It was something that they talked about in the original Vidoc. And that just, to me, just, I thought would be amazing. Another thing that I noticed in the in the alpha, UI. Listen, it's not like it's okay. I'm not gonna be super nice. It wasn't really good. I wish it could look better. Granted, it's an alpha. They could always redesign this, fix it up, whatever, polish it. But in terms of like the UI, in terms of I'm going into the controller settings, I didn't even know for like the first day I played. I straight up thought that the controller sensitivity was busted, that it was super slow. We couldn't adjust it because every time I would change the controller sensitivity, it wasn't working until I noticed there was an apply button. But it was all sort of like melded together in the black UI interface. And I'm just like, I couldn't even tell that I had to press apply. Or like when we were like going to go out for a run, I couldn't tell the difference like visually like right away, that you had to click like ready up and then you had to click run, because it like didn't change color or anything like that. And I think there's simple things that they could have done to sort of fix that UI to feel, just, more visually appealing, but also just easier to sort of navigate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it could have been more clear They could have used a bit more color and definition for a lot of those things. Like some of the items look a little bit similar, and they said they're working on like the icons, right? But we could kind of change some of the UI clarity because a lot of the things felt a little pixely and hard to discern. So, I mean, I had a fine enough time after I got really used to it after playing for a while on mouse and keyboard, but I can understand even on a controller having the little nub hover around could also just make it even worse. So,
Yeah.
it could be improved.
Well, sorry, most definitely. I think that it could be improved by a lot for sure. One of the things too that needs to be improved, or at least I wish was an ability, and hindsight is 2020. But we wrote this before, okay?
Yes.
I wish they would have stuck to a more hardcore feeling. You know, one of the things that like sort of I love about extraction shooters and is that I want it to feel like just holy crap, what am I doing? Like how can I like stay alive? And that survival element was just sort of kind of stripped away, and it was too casual in my opinion in certain aspects. Like there's healing and shields, but that just felt like a battle royale, right? Like it didn't feel, it felt like Apex. And I wanted, again, there's a way to sort of implement that in a casual experience. They could just as easily sort of take Delta Force as like a huge example. Like they're relatively more casual than, you know, Tarkov,
Tarkov,
but they
right?
still have that sort of hardcore feeling where you have to heal your character, you have to sort of like fix certain breaks and all this stuff. And I'm really sad that they sort of took out the concept of the oxygen system. Like I know it's supposed to sort of act as your timer, and I thought that was like super exciting, and you know, it would have been very unique. But I also get to a certain form, even narratively, like if you're playing a biomata, right? Like, and it's like it's not an actual human. It's just like this sort of, how would you say, extension. Like almost an android, right? It's not gonna need oxygen. So to a degree I understand it, but I really still hope that they do some sort of oxygen plays, especially on the marathon ship. But okay, you take that out as a timer, I could see how that could be a hindrance. But I think that as a base of an injury system, that would have made a lot of sense, right? Like you get concussed, you have to sort of patch yourself, and like we have all these sort of like, I don't know if you remember Seto, but like the little boosters, right? I wish those
Yeah.
were just like items that they could repurpose to like heal certain parts. Like maybe your legs do break or you overheat and it cools you down, right? Like it's a gel you put in your arm, or you know, it is an oxygen sort of system that you could sort of fix and maintain. Like I want it to feel more survival heavy, and it was a
Right.
bit too casual. Like that's just, you know,
And
my brutal opinion.
I would agree with you because I think the essence of an extraction shooter is not fast paced PvP.
Yes.
It's being a survival game. And surviving against impossible odds is the entire game, right? That's what you're going for.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things in the game need to be sped up to be more intense and worrying. And things like the statuses need some changes. Because we have things, right, like, immobilize and the chemical grenade damage, or we had, overheating people. Um, we had like glitch effects or something, right? The OS kit was something for like getting hacked, but we don't really know what that does because nothing really did the hack effect. But in theory, let's say you're playing this game and it should be, if you're rezzing somebody who was knocked but not downed, maybe they get up just with the low HP and stuff. But if you res somebody from a box, they should probably come back with a lingering injury, kind of like you're talking about, where maybe you have a broken leg, so you can't sprint, or you get rezzed and you, I don't know, have reduced reload speed until you use certain meds. And maybe if you hit full HP or a certain time passes, it'll pass naturally. But it's long enough that like you can't just sit there and wait 5 seconds around the corner and then go into another fight. You'd have to bring an item to prepare for it, or loot items for it, or go into the fight down a leg because you got knocked. You should be punished for being knocked, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to see that changed. I would like to see in PvP fights just more lethality, because sometimes it feels like if people are shooting at you from too far away, you can just run, or they'll run, and you'll just never see them again because they are not worried about getting into a fight because you can't kill them fast enough to make them worry.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that could be tuned up to make the game have more of a survival element, which I think is something that it needs. It doesn't have to go as far as Tarkov. I don't need a hunger system and a thirst system.
Yeah.
And then 18 different injuries with 20 different meds. But there is an in-between that we haven't gotten to yet, where the poison effect is more useful. Because poison right now, right, you get poisoned, you take a ridiculous amount of damage, to be honest. The poison is a ridiculous amount of damage if you get hit by like the poison grenade. And then like 3 seconds after it starts dealing poison damage, it cuts your health regeneration in half. Like if you pop a heal, you heal half the HP. I think that's a lot of things for the chemical grenade to do at once, and it feels kind of oppressive to get hit by that. Why is that effect not something that gets applied to you when you get res from box? Why do you not res from box with you heal half HP when you heal, or it takes longer to heal as a punishment for you going down, instead of as a punishment for getting hit by a grenade for 1 second that just does that? That's like there's powerful status effects in the game, and it should be something that's a punishment for you not surviving correctly or something like that, not preparing for it. Does that make sense? Am I making sense of that? Because I think that makes kind of is something that would work with what you're saying, where you get a leg injury, but it's stuff that we already have in the game, and just applying it in a different way would make it more of a survival game.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense, right? Like I think that they have to sort of be, they sort of have to be creative in the way that they go about, how would you say, developing these like
injuries.
Developing injury, or just in general, it's like, okay, well, how do we make up for, maybe we don't want this system, but how can we sort of, like you're saying, an alternative? There you go, that's the word I was looking for. In developing alternatives, and I really hope that that's something that they really look at. I think, again, hindsight 2020, but I think that they said that's something they're going to do now, which is awesome. But that was something that is just missing. And again, it's an extraction shooter. It's not a battle royale. It's not, even battle royale has hardcore elements to it, but it's not. Extraction shooters were like you were describing before. It's survival, right? You're surviving elements. You're surviving more than just players. And that includes AI. That includes just everything in totality is supposed to feel
your own resources, how many meds you have. And I think that's part of it too. There's meds everywhere. There's so much healing. I don't know if you remember my stash, but I had like fucking 40 stacks of healing items because you couldn't buy them, but there was just a ton in the map, so I would just collect them.
No, it's the same. Like, I had shields galore, backpacks, and freaking meds everywhere. Like, I even sometimes, like, I would only go with like one stack or whatever. But like, you just need to feel, you need to feel that more hardcore nature, and that's something that hopefully they were to visit and fix and make it feel proper. Again, this is a game that is not for everyone, and I don't want it to be built for everyone. Even people that just hate the game just for hating the game, that's fine by me, right? Because like the thing I love about extraction shooters that maybe not everybody thinks about is I like how relatively small the community feels, right? I know monetarily that's not always the best, but in terms of like I don't need like a game to have like this humongous sort of community like Call of Duty, because then the one thing I love about the Tarkov community is like they have respect for each other. You know what I mean? They all know how grindy and tough the game feels. And there are, of course, those people that are going to grief and, they're going to play the game how the game's meant to be played in whichever way they want. But there's also like just a huge amount of people that are very friendly and kind and are willing to sort of help you. And that's something that I don't see in many communities. Not to say that it doesn't exist, but that's one thing in terms of like what I mean by like PvP communities. And that's one thing that I love about extraction shooters. So I'm not asking for the masses of a community. I just want like this small connected community that loves the game for not just its IP, but have shared trauma, from the hardcore nature of the game. That being said, let's sort of continue moving forward. We're already an hour in. We're not even through.
Yeah, I know. We haven't even gotten through the intro, basically. In case you're wondering, I think the original footage was like 2.5 hours, so we're on track pretty much.
Yeah. We always take super long. These are always like Beef Boy episodes, but I love it. Right?
We have a lot to talk about. We're very what's the word for filled with a lot of words?
Oh gosh,
I don't know. There's a word for it, like someone who uses a lot of words to describe a simple thing. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is gonna be runners.
Definitely.
So you had a balancing plea, for Bungie, and runners. So
most definitely,
you want to do that?
You guys ready? Hold on, I gotta get in character. La 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 la. Nerf Void. Okay, there we go. I think that they need to nerf Void. I think that he's just way too powerful. I get that it's cool and, listen, he's a cool character. I can't pretend. He looks like Solid Snake, you know what I mean? He could turn invisible. Awesome. That being said, it's an extraction shooter, and I think that a guy that goes fully invisible for as long as he does, and he could run into smoke and still stay invisible, and he doesn't really have like a huge visual tell from a certain distance. You can't even like see where he went. Like you have to like just hardcore like face to screen, you know what I mean? Counting every pixel, notice where the guy's going. But it's so easy for him to just slip away and disappear. And I get that, like, to a degree, you kind of need that. But I also get that, like, that's just a little bit nuts. I think that he just needs to be nerfed a bit. Again, like, Halo did active camo pretty well. Sometimes I couldn't see the person. But when I got to a certain level of closeness, like, they started to shimmer. Or if they're moving, right, like our mini UAV or whatever, there was a tell that sort of allowed us to know there's somebody invisible, you know what I mean, within the bases. Or they take a shot and then now instantly they're uninvisible. So I just thought he was way too overpowered for a character. I mean, everybody was running him, and that's like kind of like a huge sign. But yeah, I mean, maybe I guess I'll let you take sort of like, the thought, and then you can lead into sort of the next topic of the what we have for runners. So yeah, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I don't really have any major problems with Void. I think his invis ability is good. That is strong. Because you get to press it and you get 15 seconds where you're invisible. And if you take a shot or deal damage or heal while you're invisible, it will break your invisibility for like a second and then put you back into being invisible. So that is like a really strong active ability to have. Um, However, I don't think that his passives are particularly crazy. One of them is you get to turn invis when you walk into a smoke, right? Um,
Yeah.
and this is a smoke grenade. It can be an enemy smoke. It can be smoke from your abilities. That only makes your other two abilities work pretty much because one of them is your ultimate where you throw a line of smoke, which is a good ability in its own. But the thing about smoke is it's a complicated thing to use in a PvP game. Smoke is what we would call a neutral utility, where it can help you hurt an enemy by cutting off their line of sight, but it can also help your enemy by cutting off your line of sight. So you have to be pretty careful with how you use smokes. But the skydive thing, I think that thing sucks. That thing is the worst ability in the game because it's a passive with a cooldown because it's just another ability. It's not actually a passive. It tells everybody on the map where you are because you just skydove out of the nearest skylight to slam into the ground and make a smoke bubble. And when you walk out of it, your passive invis only lasts like 2 seconds. If you don't do it in front of a doorway, you're just going to walk out into the middle of a field while invis. So I don't like that ability at all. I think it's bad. But I do agree the invis itself, that one ability, his F, is very strong.
Yeah.
But I also really like it.
It just
um,
needs
it
some
is very
work.
hard to see invis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could make it a bit less intangible because if you're close range, you can see an invisible void, but it's much more difficult than like a Destiny invis. Um, so there should be a little bit of a middle ground. I think it should be stronger than like Destiny's invis because you don't really have a problem seeing that. But somewhere better than this. If you're looking for it, you should be able to see it. But it should be much harder for you to passively notice it out of the corner of your eye. Is the balancing I'm looking for with an invisibility technique. Like I have clips of us using invis where like I would just walk right up to somebody's face and put a claymore down in front of them because they didn't see me coming and they couldn't do anything before I got away.
That's
So
what I'm saying. Like it was just bizarre. The amount of times where, I was looking for a guy, he's the Invis dude, and he's like right in front of me, and then he knifes me to death. Yeah, like that's very sad. It made me want to jump off several bridges. You know what I mean? It's just like it just was. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that. It really hindered me in a lot of ways. Um, yeah, but
yeah. So my question for the runners thing is I kind of wanted to touch on what your favorite and least favorite character was. And this can be in terms of balancing or style, if
yeah,
there's like a theme that really worked for you or didn't.
yeah. Well, for me, both style and character wise, that I just enjoyed their abilities. And it might not be everybody's favorite. Okay, all right. So you listen. I talked about stupid earlier. Yeah, maybe I'm a little dumb too. Okay. Anyway, I liked Blackbird. One stylistically, I thought she was awesome. She's wearing like sort of a USEC vest, and armor. So I thought that was really cool. And it was like kind of X'd out. Again, colors, all my favorites, including like sort of like the black and the sort of neon green and green itself and blue. And I was like, this is awesome. Voice actress too. Gosh, I'm forgetting her name, but she's pretty famous. So she was really cool too. Aside from that though, I enjoyed the abilities. Like I loved the spider, sort of throwing it out, allowing me to sort of hunt, players down once I hit them with that and slow them down. Now I can sort of swing a corner and they either have to commit or, slowly try and run away. Um, well, sort of kind of being damaged, like just a smidge. I thought that was like really cool. Sometimes that spider didn't always go where I wanted it to, and like it'll just like run in a circle, like in my
Oh my
vicinity. I'm
god,
like,
when when it gets into like a hallway and it just starts going pew, 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 around the corners of the building, and you're like, bro, can you go forward,
I was
straight?
like, please, like just freaking get the guy. But there were so many instances where like I would throw out the spider, like a team would roll up on me. Like I had the freaking luxury of every time when I was near you guys, like I was just getting killed. Like the players would find me, okay? um and so sometimes like I had to like, okay, well, I gotta like corner this until like some like you guys can get to me. And sometimes like I would just throw the spider out and it would like slow one of the guys and give you guys time to sort of rotate towards me. And I thought that was pretty cool. And of course the ability, right? Well, essentially the wall hacks. Everybody was saying it's like super powerful or whatever. Oh, you got wall hacks in a game. At this point, every game's doing it. You know what I mean? I think like a big part of that is just sort of maybe, and this might be a stupid reasoning, but it's something that I thought about. Maybe it's a part in part that they're just sort of trying to limit, I guess, people's want to sort of use hacks in terms of like where they could see through everything and be like, oh, well, we just have a character that does that. You don't want to hack anymore. You don't want to cheat because it's kind of like built into the game anyway. But aside from that, I think like her ability wasn't super overpowered, right? It's just a couple dots on over the head. Yeah, in extraction shooters, you know, how would you say, information is everything.
Is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it does give off like that information. That being said, if you're constantly sort of like moving around, you're like it'll ping the person, but like it gives them a couple seconds to like run, and I'll check that ping. And there were several times it got me killed because I'm just hyper focusing on where it pinged them last, and I go and I look and they're not there because they like maybe even did like 5 steps over, and that now killed my reaction time because I was looking directly towards that location, and now he sidestepped and I didn't like really realize it, and now he's a little further in that corner and now he kills me. You know what I mean? So I didn't think it was like super overpowered. Cracking the shields and then getting the little trail that you could follow was really cool. I liked feeling like essentially it was like Bloodhound from Apex. I like that. I think that there's certain things that they could do passively, that could be something similar like Bloodhound in terms of like tracking and all that jazz. But yeah, I don't know. I think she was my favorite. Least favorite, it's hard for me to say. I think I'll say like Locust, but I think Locust in his own right was also powerful. I'm just sort of throwing that out there. Or you know what? How about this? I'm gonna switch it. Void was my least favorite, okay? Because he's such a douche.
Oh my
Anyway.
god. Him and that stupid poem.
But what about you? What? Yeah, right. Freaking, that's not music. Anyway, go ahead.
So my favorite character was Glitch. And it's simply because Glitch had a double jump and all of the maps had a lot of verticality. And if you didn't find the one spot where you could walk up a staircase to get up there, you had to find it or walk away or walk all the way around a building to go find a staircase. And Glitch could just get on the roof, which is very strong to have the high ground. Because if you're on the high ground, they can't get up to you, then you get safe reses. You have free cover just using the roof that other people can't get to, and it's just speed is kind of king. Right next to information, being able to move fast is also very strong.
Yeah.
Now, my least favorite was Blackbird. I personally felt like Blackbird was the last character I wanted to bring to a team, and I don't mean that as in I would never bring them to the team. I mean, if I had a team of 3, it is the third character I wanted the team. if you're in threes, I want one Blackbird because they're strong, right? Their ultimate is very good,
Yeah. Takes forever
but
to charge, but
it takes a while to charge. Their drone is buggy, and I feel like their passives don't bring much to the table. Like, yeah, you get the footprints after you break somebody's shield, but you have to like already be winning the fight to be able to push that. Because if you're healing, you don't see the footprints. And there were
yeah.
times where like I was in a fight from like mid range, I'm using like the repeater, and I would break somebody's shield. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go push them and use the footprints. By the time I got there, the footprints were gone because it was too long and the
Yeah.
passive wore off.
Yeah.
If I'm close enough that I was already winning and I'm using the footprints to find them, then I probably already knew where they were, or like I had an idea. And executing somebody for wall hacks is, one ping. It's not super strong, right? Like if you know where somebody is already, you're not getting much value out of it. If you get the one ping and they move, they're not there anymore, kind of like you said. So it's not like overpowered to get the wall hack, but having to get the finisher for it, you already had the down somebody else in the other team, so you're either equal or up in numbers, and you have the
Yeah.
time and space to go for the finisher instead of shooting them. So you're not in danger at that time. So for hunting down a third, it's nice to like clean up a fight, but it's not, their passives don't help you win a fight the way that something like Locust's double dash can get you around a corner and keep you from dying or help you push somebody who's really low, like you hit a grenade and break their shields and you got to go and get them. Like the Locust dash can help you clear that, right? But Blackbird doesn't really have anything that makes them more powerful in the moment. They can't actively contribute like that,
Yeah.
regardless of their cooldowns. And their ultimate, while it does give you the wall hacks, also lets the other team know where you are. So if you walk up to a compound and you scan the other team, they also know where you're coming from because they can see your scans. Is my big
Yeah.
problem with Blackbird.
That I thought was pretty bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
like the thing that was cool is like if a Blackbird scanned a Blackbird, it'll like straight up just notify you. But in terms of like, you could already kind of see the bubble of the scan. And
Yeah, like
thought that was-
I know when I got scanned because I could see the scan go over me and go, "Oh, I'm scanned."
yeah. And it was that wasn't always like I think a favorite feature of mine. You know, it would be kind of like a cool, maybe, right? This is just throwing an idea out. If like sort of Blackbird, maybe you take away her scan that like, because it marks it for everyone, right? I think, right? Like the big scan has been
Yeah,
yeah.
I think you just take away the other people seeing the wave,
Well, yeah,
and
either
it's fine.
other people don't see the wave, or if you kind of want to like keep it semi-nerfed, like nobody could see the wave. You could see the scans only, or maybe you have a certain vision that is almost similar to like maybe where you can track footsteps from like super far away, or like where it's like a thermal or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or
like
hear
where
me
you can
out.
see character. Yeah.
What if instead of just like originating from you as the character, what if Blackbird were to throw like a little tracking dart or something, and you could throw it like into a building, and the pulses would originate from wherever that device is,
Yeah.
and people can still see the thing, so they can see they're being scanned, but it's not necessarily coming from your character. So like you could throw it into the middle of the
Kinda
area.
like a
So
sensor ball in like Battlefield almost.
right, or like a recon dart in some other games. I don't know what I'm thinking of, like the finals maybe.
Yeah.
But like yeah, you shoot it out, and it can still pop open her face, so like you're receiving the information, kind of
Yeah.
like thing, but they can't see where you are coming from. Your team is originating from, so it would confuse them. It would still tell them that they're being scanned, maybe. Or what I really like is Blackbird's legendary effect for like their cores. I don't know if you saw it, is that the passive that gives you the wall hack, instead of giving you a wall hack when you finish a character, it would give you the wall hack when you knock somebody.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
really
think
cool.
that should just be how the skill works. because in a shooter, it just makes much more sense for that to be how it works.
Yeah.
And then to change the legendary effect to be like, if you, I don't know, maybe you get the wall hack if you break somebody's shield, or you get the wall hack if you like shoot somebody who's down and kill them, on
Yeah,
top of
maybe.
getting it when you knock them, because it
Yeah.
just doesn't feel like you get the value when you need it
Or
right
like
now on
give them an
Blackbird.
ability that like really hardcore counters a void. You know what I mean? I think that would have like because even though I was running Blackbird, I just felt like I was a dum dum for void.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I
I'm
still
like
can't tell if it would scan an
when they were
invisible void
invis.
or
Yeah,
not.
I couldn't
I
tell
don't
either.
know if it worked or not.
I think it did. I want to say it did, but it just I couldn't even tell. Like I was, I've just for the audience at home, I have the video like of one of our gameplay sessions with Brandy, um, and we, oh, me and Brandy get knocked. I just seen it like literally maybe like 2 minutes ago. We get knocked because a void was right in front of my face, and I got knifed. And then they went to go knife Brandy, and then they almost killed you, and then you kill them, and were able to get me back, and they full killed Brandy. So I was like, dude, this is what I'm talking about. Like literally, he just sort of just appeared out of nowhere. That's just so funny. Anyway, yeah. So if there's like some sort of hard counter, you know what I mean? I think like um, yeah, maybe Blackbird needs a buff. You know what I mean? I'll take it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's just the way that I see an intel character is that you want to be able to gather information safely, but Blackbird just doesn't do that.
no.
Blackbird has no safe way of doing it without exposing themselves in some way.
Yeah,
I guess the
and
drone. The drone is your best way of finding people without saying where you are, because unless they see you throw it in and they see it fly through the air, they don't know where
yeah.
it came from.
And you know what would be kind of cool with the drone a little bit? What if like the drone, rather than just slow an enemy down, it like almost marks them, right? And that enemy stays marked for a certain percent. And like I could follow that specific enemy's trail and everything, almost like leaves like a paint mark, almost right. Like they have those like sort of ink grenades and like money and stuff sometimes, and that person gets like hit with the blue paint and they're just marked everywhere. Like that would be really cool if that was also a feature. But that being said, I do like that that drone sort of again slows them down because I don't have really a cool like lethal grenade or anything. So
Yeah.
like everybody else. So I think
Yeah,
that's natural. I don't know.
at least
Something.
if you hit a glitch with it, she can't slide away because
Yeah.
her bar is full. Now
Yeah.
it does last like 4 seconds, and you have no way of getting to her yourself.
Yeah.
But for your teammates, this is why I think it's like Blackbird's great as a third character. You can throw your drone in and like disable somebody's sprint. You can't get there. You have no way to fight them before
Yeah.
they get their stamina back. But if you have a glitch or a void or a locust with you, they can get up there and fight them while
Yeah,
they're
and,
stunned.
and to that point too, and sorry to interrupt, but like a lot of times when I was playing Blackbird, I played Blackbird like behind, right? Like I wasn't trying to sort of be this offensive character, right? I played it very defensive and like anytime like, I was playing with you, Brendy, like you guys were like in this clips, for example, I'm watching, you guys were playing glitch and I was sort of in the background, just again, anytime we seen like just one person, it was boom, scan goes out and immediately, start hanging back and fighting off of where you guys are at, right? I know there's one clip where I cracked this, like, we're fighting a team, we crack a guy, and I think I was with Marathon Intel on that one, and I'm straight up chasing this guy. Like, he jumps over this ledge, and we fought like a team of three, and now I'm able to, like, chase his trail. And it led to just a really cool moment of us hunting him down. Um, but yeah, no, a lot of times it was like boom, pop ability, or if I was like cornered, it's Spider goes out, slowed this guy down. Now I can swing on him, and that was also like just a pretty cool moment. That being said, we've been giving a ton of feedback, and I think it's going to be pretty important. And this is just for fun. We don't have to spend too much time on it. I know last time we did, but this time around we don't have to. But this is a fun segment. So we've given a decent amount of feedback. Now it's time for the feedback from the world. Let's hear what they had to say about Marathon immediately after the alpha post our decal stealing. Anyway, had to address it. This is the feedback of the alpha. Here's the first one. There was several people. Okay, this wasn't just me pulling it out from one person, some synonymous person that they
You may or may not have heard of them. Like, they're very small content creator.
Yeah. They said, and I quote, needs to have a zone like battle royales. Last last team wins.
There should be a ring that gets smaller and smaller that tells you where you need to go, and only the last team alive should survive.
Yeah. No, that's not an extraction shooter. That's a battle royale. I think having a zone that closes more and more just defeats the purpose. And anyway, hence the timer for the game and the need to extract. That kind of is a thing in a way, just minus the zones. So stupid? Yes, very stupid comment. I don't understand that. Just save that for a battle royale. That's not an extraction shooter.
Yeah, if you don't want to play an extraction shooter, just say you don't like extraction shooters. You know what I mean? That's not constructive feedback.
Yeah, or just go play DMZ. They have that zone at the very end of time, though, again, that will push you towards a certain point where you need to extract. So, again, dumb comment. But these are the comments that a lot of people were echoing. Looting, too slow for controller. Now, this has some merit. That being said, I don't think that looting needs to be super fast, in particular for controller. Now, I had a buddy of mine that was comparing Arc Raiders, that they had a super fast looting system, that you were using the D-pad instead of a cursor system, and I didn't feel it was that much faster, because now I'm still having to tap my D-pad. I've got to go right. Okay, 5 spaces over, 6 spaces over. I'm tapping the D-pad. Now I got to tap up to go. You know what I mean? It still was relatively slow. I just think that looting in general on controller will just be relatively slow. I don't think it needs to be super fast. To be quite frank, it's an extraction shooter. It's the name of the game. You know what I mean? I get PC has that relative advantage, but I don't know. It's not a big deal to me. So looting on controller too slow. All right, I guess that one I could give a little bit more. I guess a tad. Okay, let's see. What's the next one? Oh, okay. Everybody was saying that they wanted PvE, right? Oh, yeah, we want PvE. Give us PvE. Maybe add a PvE mode. And there's plenty of PvE in this game. Let me tell you, we weren't always running into teams. So a lot of times we were just fighting, the AI, the enemy AI. And people were still saying, hey, we want more PvE, but we still want more PvP. It was just like this insane bipolar nature of yeah, we want PvE, man, no PvP, no PvP. And then there's just everybody no, we just want PvP, but there's no PvE. And it's well, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. It was just so bizarre, man. Oh my gosh. No story. That was another thing. There was a lot of story, to be quite honest, especially in alpha. And they said they didn't even flesh it out completely yet. But every time we took a new contract, and we completed a
You get a
mainline
little
contract.
cutscene. Oh my god.
Yeah, you got a cutscene kind of explaining what you're searching for and why you're searching for that particular person. So there was plenty of story. I actually thought it was very unique. No extraction shooter does that. Like, now none explains. Well, now Arc Raiders, okay, but before Arc Raiders and Marathon, nobody was doing this thing where it was like audio explaining like each sort of story mission that you complete, like mainline mission. So that was psychotic. They said no content. Well, no doubt, it's an alpha. I was like,
We got maps and we got objectives and there was things to do on the map. So that was some content. You know, it
to
did
be quite
run. That's what we were
they're going to
testing.
be dropping with 3 maps. That's or 4 when they release. That's a lot of content. And to be honest, I didn't go through all the story content. Now, maybe some people did, so maybe that's valid, I guess. But again, it's an alpha. I'm not expecting a ton of content. Now, what I would say, maybe more events and stuff like that, or understanding of events. But again, that was what people kept saying. Oh, here's another one that, all you extraction shooters. Now, you got to take this one to heart, okay? I need you to know. All right? This is the biggest one, all right? Bungie, are you listening? You lose loot, and there's going to be season.
What?
What?
Oh!
How could this be? What
You
cruel
mean when I
world.
die, I lose my stuff?
What is this? An extraction shooter? You mean I gotta lose my loot, man?
Why would you ever want to play a game where you have to like find things and then not die with them?
Oh my gosh. It's like it's almost its own genre or something like that. Who would have thought?
Look, all I'm saying is like I guarantee 60% of the people who are like saying this grew up playing Minecraft. And I don't know if you know what happens when you die in Minecraft, but you lose your loot. Now, if you think Minecraft is too hard for you, we got to have a serious talk.
Yeah. Listen, nobody's clutching their pearls when you're playing a survival game like Minecraft. And let me tell you something. An extraction shooter, as we discussed, if you didn't listen to the episode prior, like, you know what I mean, where we sort of were talking a little bit earlier, that an important part of an extraction shooter is the survival element.
Yeah.
And part of that survival element is that, yeah, you're gonna lose stuff when you die. It happens. I think that's what kind of, I don't know, makes you feel, man, the rush of I don't want to lose this. So that was something.
Yeah, finding something nice and then being like, oh no, please, I want my gold shield, man. That's like part of the game. And seasonal wipes is, I think, an important thing.
Yes.
For extraction games. Because if you don't get wipes, what ends up happening is you end up with like late game. I don't know exactly what I should be saying here. But like there's like late game like MMO or any game with like PvP where everybody has the best gear at all times. You start the game as a fresh player and you load in and everybody has purple shields and purple guns and the best armor and the best ammo, and it's a struggle for you to kill any of them, and then you kill them and you get to use it, but everybody else also has it, so like you don't get to keep it. So there's an end game economy where things just eventually boil over and you have inflation, basically.
Yeah.
That's like part of the economy system is at some point the funds get inflated.
To be fair, too,
let new people in.
If you have everything, you know what I mean? And you're just, always destroying players every single season.
Some people say sure, but then most people are like, well, I'm done. I progressed. I got to the end. And that's it. So seasons add a way for new things to get introduced. We change how leveling up works. You change what weapons are available when. You add new weapons to the mix. You add new characters, new abilities, things like that. It's a great way to introduce those things and then be like, oh man, if only I could have, started leveling up with this character, maybe I would have performed differently. Maybe I would have had better. now. So
Yeah.
you have a chance to reset the leaderboard. You can race to be the first to max level, or first to max traders, or first to finish all the quests, right? Um, so it adds this sort of meta game for you to play in. It is not just about reaching max level. It's not just about surviving. It is also about being world's first, or being this top percentage of player that gets to do this challenging task or challenging quest every season, right? And that gives them a way to put in like cosmetics for doing it. So
Yeah, I 100% agree. As well as like, it's just essentially, think of it like COD. It's a forced besieging system. That's all it really is, right? And you have a game like Delta Force that, I'm kind of scared with, because they don't have forced wipes, and people can choose to essentially prestige when they want. But for newbies that come in, we're just going to be getting griefed in the extraction mode, right? So it's a good way to sort of minimize that, right? Next thing that this kind of leads into, right? Like, you're not a fan of losing loot. You must be a Destiny player. Destiny
oh no,
players
not the
are
Destiny
not
players.
fans. Yes, we know it wasn't made for you.
Yeah,
Not
that's kind of what they
entirely.
were saying when they were like, it's not made for everybody. They want two separate player bases
Yeah.
for the most part, right? They
A
want to
game
maintain
for
two games,
everyone is a game for no one.
right? And I get that some Destiny players are like, no, man, I want to hoard things. That's my game. I mean, just don't play it.
Yep.
Or you could go for a different experience. You don't have to play two of the same game.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people here play more than one game at a time, but it's
Listen,
possible.
I got this crazy concept. I got this story, right? Um, I once played a little bit of Overwatch. You know what I mean? Like, very tad. And
No.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't like exclusively hero arena shooters. I think they suck. Okay. Now, in me saying this, I got a crazy concept for you. Okay. Now, this is free real estate. Okay. Get ready. I don't play extraction, or I don't play hero shooters, because I don't like them. So, who would have thought? What a crazy concept to do. If you don't like something, it's not for you. It doesn't mean the game's horrible. Listen, plenty of people like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals, and that's awesome. That's good for you. That being said, I'm not going to play it. I'm not a huge fan of arena shooters anymore. Like, I just don't play them. Like, it's
I think
simple. You don't like that genre of game, you just don't play it. Thank you.
I think the key point to make here is, just because you don't like a genre doesn't make a game bad because it's that genre. Like, I don't like racing games. That doesn't make Mario Kart World bad.
Exactly.
Does that right? Like Mario Kart can be good. This can be a good Mario Kart game. I don't like it. They're separate things.
Yeah.
Okay. So Destiny players, if you don't like extraction shooters, that doesn't mean Marathon's a bad game. It means
Yeah.
you don't like extraction shooters, and you should be, specific when you say something like that. Because just because you want to wake up and tell Bungie that, oh, this game would be so much better if you added raids and dungeons, and I had 3 classes, and you named one of them Titan, and you gave them a punch ability. Can you add that to the game, and also let me not lose my loot, and give me random perk rolls on it? It doesn't make a good feedback.
Yeah, that's just kind of like null and void, right? Like, I think that at the end of the day, too, it's like, and it's not to say that your opinion doesn't matter, and like, you wouldn't know what can make to feel like a good game, or certain elements to feel good. That being said, like, if you just straight up don't like extraction shooters and can't give a feedback in regards to it being an extraction shooter, right? Like, knowing, like, again, Mario Kart. If I'm playing Mario Kart, and I know I'm not a big fan of Mario Kart, but I know that exclusive to like this specific racing shooter, or like this racing game, like, if I was like, oh man, like, this would be cooler if you could drift this way instead of that way, right? Like, that's criticism about a racing game giving feedback for that angle of a racing game is what I'm trying to say, and I hope it's making sense. But when I'm sort of saying, "Hey, man, I wish there was guns in this racing game. I think it'll feel way better." It's like, no, you're not. You're not really giving feedback in terms of the elements of that racing game. You're just wanting it to be a first person shooter. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, just you go in first person, you kill people with the gun. I think that would be a great element to the game. It's like, no, that's not good criticism. Um, so yeah, you Destiny fans out there, like I'm sure there's plenty of players that would enjoy this. You just got to give it a chance. That being said, it's not going to be for you, and that's fine. Another freaking thing that so many people were saying, again, this was when the alpha, right after it came out, people were like, the game isn't in a finished state. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I mean,
almost why it's
people,
in an alpha.
not only was it an alpha, it was supposed to be an alpha where nobody saw footage of it. We weren't supposed to be able to record, weren't supposed to be able to stream it. It was supposed to be, not ready for public consumption, quote unquote. So that's what you get when we bully Bungie into letting us stream it. It looks like it's not done yet, because obviously it wasn't done yet.
Listen, this was supposed to be for me, Sato, Bond, Jake. It wasn't meant for you guys.
Yeah, we were supposed to have fun and tell you how much fun we had, and then be like, yeah, it looked kind of weird, and you were supposed to guess what that
Yes. And we were supposed to leave feedback like, maybe you should fix that.
Maybe you should add Mario to the game and some blocks, and it would be better,
Now,
That's what they wanted.
To add a criticism to Bungie that, hey, this game has been in development for like, I think 6 or so years, and it's not to that finished state. That is an opinion that, yeah, I understand. And quite frankly, yes, I can agree with you. But they kind of had, I don't know, a kind of a handsy director that wanted to play truth or dare or some weird sexual games, let's just say.
It wasn't me.
And that may or may not have hindered the vision of the game, as well as I think that they just had bad direction on an early time. But notice that the shift of Joe Ziegler, you notice that the game within 2 years was put out in this state, as opposed to what they had before and what was being reported what they were going to do before. So still kudos to them to a degree. And of course, yeah, I think they deserve that criticism. But to say that the game's in a finished state as your criticism and it's an alpha, yeah, it's an alpha. You know what I mean? It was funny because like when Arc Raiders released, and they're like past the alpha state, they were just server testing. And people are like, yeah, it looks so great, and it's in an alpha. It's like, no, it's not in an alpha. You should have seen the leaked footage when it was an alpha. But anyway, I digress. On to the next thing, and we just have one more after this. So I had several, people tell me this, and one friend out there, buddy, I love you, okay, but this was a stupid opinion, okay? Doesn't understand the loot, the ammo, or ammo types, okay? Meaning, like, his criticism was like, I can't tell what ammo's what. And, the more you play the game, the more you start to understand the loot, right? You read the descriptions, you start noticing the icons, and maybe the color of the ammo, green light, gray heavy,
Look,
white special ammo.
I'm just gonna say it. The guns had a picture of the ammo that they use on the gun, like in the menu. You just have to find the same picture, and that's it. They're not trying to trick you. I get it. Light ammo and heavy ammo both say ammo on them.
Listen,
But one is green and one is black. Pick the one that looks like the one on your gun. It's
not to put this buddy of mine on blast. Okay, I'm gonna say his full first and last. No, I'm just playing.
Here's his address.
Blast, but like he then played the Arc Raiders, and he's like, "Yeah, I could tell the ammo," and I was like, "What? they're all the same color. I was like, you could tell the aim of that, but you can't understand the color coordination of, Marathon. I was like, all right, it was pretty obvious. Again, that's such a moot thing. And the last criticism, though a criticism, I just thought wasn't really a bad criticism at the same time, was that it plays like Apex. And I'm like, well, I mean, listen, I do want it to play more into survival elements. You know what I mean? And it playing like Apex at the same time, it felt like a slower Apex. Apex isn't a bad game. I enjoy it. Well, listen, I don't really play Apex, but when I do play it, it's fun. I'm not gonna pretend like it's a horrible game. Again, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a horrible game. And I could understand that just because I don't like it, I know it's not a horrible game, and it does feel smooth. It does feel good, and yeah, I think this game played like it.
I think a lot of the comparison to Apex comes from the health system and the way the menus are set up, right? So like we have shield cells and shield batteries and uh, health patch kits and big health kits and the not Phoenix kit, right? I mean, I don't even remember what they're called in Marathon. I'm gonna be honest. The shield healing item, I kept calling shield cells, which is what they're called in Apex for the 25%. Like they took the healing system of Apex and they took the radial wheel system for like selecting your consumables from Apex. And I think people will look at that and they go, "Oh my god, this is Apex LMAO." But the system is designed to allow controller players to quickly access a variety of healing or grenade options, right? Because if you hold on grenade, it would give you grenade options as well. And at first, I was like, this feels weird. And I still think I don't like the shield system. That's like its own commentary.
Yeah.
Because I prefer static health over shields. But the way of splitting it up, like you can't have Tarkov's amount of healing items on a controller. There's no way you could bind all those buttons or sort through them conveniently in a way that makes sense for the game. So splitting it into these heal 25%, this heals a full bar. This heals 25% of health. This heals a full health bar. This heals status 1, status 2. This heals both things. And then being like, okay, hold the heal button, and now you can select from all of them. You have like a radial wheel. That makes sense for controller players. It is passable on mouse and keyboard. I still prefer being able to hotkey things 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But I got used to it. So I think that's a lot of the comparison to Apex, because in terms of like how the guns shoot and feel, it feels more like Destiny than Apex. But visually, I can kind of see, there's a hero system in here, and it does work more like Apex, right? You get a set of abilities for your character on spawn, and then the guns are separate. But it doesn't play like Apex. It doesn't, when you're shooting somebody else, it doesn't feel like you're playing Apex. But I can get how some people would think it looks like Apex. And I think that's part of the reason why I think the game plays differently than it feels to watch the game. Because like I said earlier, people who have played the game are like, oh, this plays pretty good. I like how the game plays. But people who watch the game think it looks weird.
Yeah.
So sorry I took that one sentence on like a rant, but
no,
I think there's a lot of layers to it.
I understand. Like I said, I think it wasn't a criticism that was necessarily the biggest thing to sort of harp on, right? We needed more detail than just plays like Apex. And again, I don't think that was a criticism that necessarily should feel like it's wrong, right? I think that it still is a I don't know. I think it's a good thing. But for the sake of moving on, because I am timed to myself.
Yeah, I'm sure we're halfway through right now.
Yeah, we have. Let's see. We have 4 categories left, and
So we can kind of power run through these.
Yeah. So we will probably sort of powering through. But weapons, you got a couple points here at the start.
Yeah, and I can summarize these.
Yeah.
So generally, my first complaint is why can I only buy the overrun in like the main menu? If you were watching the footage or the streams when we were playing, we could basically buy the overrun. You could buy a couple of kits per day, and the kits included the overrun, or you could buy one pistol, which was worse than the overrun. So unless you brought materials out of game, you couldn't buy anything else unless you had to unlock them with materials to then spend materials to buy them. And I felt like money became worthless because I could only buy overruns with money, and I hated using the overrun after a certain point. So I have an issue with that. It needed some tweaking. They want it to be this like standard of this is like the average gun, and you get to start with that. It was so mid, especially when everybody had like shields. Going into day like 6, 7, and week 2, people had like green shields. We had blue shields and purple shields. The overrun does not work with that, and I think that's part of the balancing that needs to get fixed. The V11 and the tac sidearm were some of the other weapons that you could buy, and I also thought they were even worse than the overrun. They flat out suck. And there's this thing where you need to have bad guns and good guns in an extraction shooter, and you can balance them out by their price, right? So you can buy a bad gun for a cheaper price or a really good gun for an expensive price. But there's this like certain middle ground of like the gun has to be somewhat viable. So like a pistol in hunt is worse than a rifle, but it's not worse because it can't kill somebody. It's worse because you have to be a little bit closer. You have less bullets in the magazine. It takes longer to reload. It's got more recoil or something like that, but it still kills quickly. You can still beat somebody with a rifle. You just have to work for it. Whereas in this game, loading it with a sidearm, if somebody has a long shot, even if you get them at close range, they're probably going to kill you with body shots from the sniper before you could kill them with headshots with the pistol. And that just kind of doesn't work. And I felt someone with the railgun. The railgun was just bad. It charged forever, but it didn't hit as hard as the sniper for some reason. That's like my main complaints. Balancing was weird.
You gave me a blue railgun. I was like, oh man, Sato's so sweet, dude. What a nice guy. What a swell pal. You know what I mean? And then I go to use it, and I was like, this is cheeks, man. What are you trying to kill me? He was cursing me. That's what he was doing.
I was getting you footage so you could review it later.
It's so bad, dude. It took way too long. It needs to be way faster spin it. Like, just the spool took like forever, dude. I wanted to jump off a bridge. Anyway, so that was a horrible gun. The overrun. Please, like, I want it to feel like better. Like, they could at least increase it. Like, I get that you don't have to make it this most stellar gun, but make it better. There's so many fights, dude. I'm looking through, like, watching this footage as we're talking, and gosh darn it, dude. I lose so many fights because the freaking overrun is cheeks. Like, I'm cracking shields, man. And all I'm doing is then hitting him with rice afterward. And I'm just getting so pissed. Like, there's one where, like, I crack this guy, and I'm hitting him full body, dude. Like, just chest. Straight to the freaking chest on flesh. And it's doing nothing to him. And, like, then I get knocked, and then you guys have to come and save me. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? The amount of times. Holy. I know I'm like not like amazing, but come on, man, I'm not that bad. Let's be real. Getting into my sort of quick point summaries. I think there needs to be a slight increase to ADS. I think like just the base guns. Like I understand that attachments, right, make gun better. It's totally fine, but we need to see like more attachments on the ground in general. And again, I shouldn't be using this overrun that's cheeks to begin with. And now it's also taking 20 years for me to ADS it when it's a light gun too. It takes light ammo. So inherently it should be faster, But that they need definitely a big overhaul. And I would like to see more attachments, more than just grip, muzzle, red dot. There
Yeah,
needs
and I
to
would love to be able to
be,
buy
yeah,
attachments more.
I agree. Or craft them. Something, please, for the love. I want attachments. Like, one of the things that, like, I disappoint me, give me a flashlight that can blind an enemy, right? Like, give me a laser sight so I could hip fire and get better hip fire. Give me a freaking suppressor. Give me, compensator or a flash hider or something. Like, give me barrels that I could choose from. Like, I need more plethora of attachments. There was hardly anything. That's like a part of like the cool part of like playing with guns in an extraction shooter. I thought it was pretty poopy, and hopefully they do a better job with that.
Yeah, like if we could buy attachments and modify the overrun that we're loading in with, maybe it wouldn't be so poopy. But we couldn't buy anything. Like we finished the alpha and I had like 70,000 credits because
Yeah.
there was nothing to spend money on. Not that I wouldn't spend my money that I had. There was nothing to buy. I couldn't
Yeah.
buy anything that was useful
It
than
was-
like
I should have
meds.
been broke because I kitted
Yeah.
out my overrun. You know what I mean? To make it feel better, and I couldn't even do that. Like, it was so bizarre. And of course, like, I should be able to take weapon attachments out of. Hey, forgive me if there's background noise. It is 4th of July while we're recording this. Okay. So anyway, yeah, attachments, and especially they're gonna have like day and night cycles, or night maps, like runs. I need to have either night vision or flashlight attachments. That needs to be a thing. Okay, onto world. We got 30 minutes here, so I'm pushing a little bit.
Yeah,
but-
so we're gonna talk about the world. When we talk about the world, I want to talk about like the exteriors, the design of the maps, like the
Yes.
layout of the buildings and things like that. We're not talking about like graphics specifically,
Yeah.
but I like that perimeter was more claustrophobic compared to Dire Marsh, where it was more wide open. On both, there were places where an SMG was good and places where snipers were good. But Dire Marsh had a lot more places where the sniper was good, and Perimeter had a lot more interiors, I think. So I can appreciate the dynamic of the maps feeling different. I think they could use a bit more tweaks. Like, I think you could make them a bit bigger. Perimeter needed some places where you could walk around some buildings. Like, I don't know if you ran into this, but North Relay, I think it was, or maybe it was South Relay. There was that one building with the place with all the white towers and the railing that you could walk across.
Yes.
And there was the building that was like the main building. And there were times when we would get into fights and people were in the building, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to walk around the outside of the building to get to the other side of the building so I can push from a different angle. But for some reason, the edge of the map was right against the building, so you couldn't walk around the main building without walking in front of it. And I'm like, why can we not just walk around this building? Like, it makes no sense for this to be the edge of the map.
It was
And that happens in multiple places, on multiple parts of the map. And maybe that's a pre-alpha thing, maybe they're working on that last stretch of 20 feet. But there's no reason that like 5 feet should be blocked off and just be impassable. And then second note, on the outside of all these maps, there was just abhorrent fog on every map that made it like impossible to see through.
What? You didn't like the fog?
God, I hated the fog. Now on Dire Marsh, there was some weather, and by the way, there was dynamic weather in this. I don't think we have this in the notes. There was dynamic weather in this alpha, and they said there was not going to be, but like there was.
Why did you?
We would load in. Yeah, we would load in, and it would be sunny, and then the rain would come in, and then the rain would leave, and then a storm would show up, and I'm like, wait, this is cool. Why did they say this wasn't going to be a thing? It was actually just there. But when it's rainy, it would get rainy and it'd be hard to see. It's like, okay, cool, it's thematic. And the rain would go away and it was just foggy. And I'm like, why can I see farther away inside the building than out here? Just get rid of the fog, please. And make the fog a weather, maybe. But why is it permafog at all times? It sucked. That's my 2 cents on the world.
0 cents. It made 0 cents why they did not say, yeah, we have dynamic freaking weather. It was awesome. There were some times where it was like straight up raining, and then it was like clear as day, and like, it was so cool. keep it up. I hope they just don't take that mechanic out of there. It was spectacular. I think like people fail to realize like how different, how would you say, that the map could feel when you have a dynamic weather, or you have day, or you have night. It does change the way that you could see things, or it just changes the atmosphere when you're straight up going in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That aside, I have some points to summarize too. There needed to be more loot spots in outer sections, in open world. Like for example, like scattered in the swamp, scattered throughout. A lot of the loot spots were just like interiors near buildings, and it just gave you no reason to want to explore. I was like, I don't care to, like, I don't know, like, let's say, for example, there's a bunch of teams, they're all fighting on one specific spot. Well, sorry, I can't loot anywhere, like, at all, because there's nowhere to loot anywhere else in the named locations. And I get,
Hmm.
like, having high tier loot, or, like, certain items that are specific to, again, like, certain areas, but having, like, zero, like, loot at all on the exteriors, I thought didn't feel realistic even, and just bad play. Um, Next thing, oh, there needed to be more secret doors. I wanted to get like loot, like other ways to enter looting areas. For example, like there was like this one area that was cool. You took a tunnel, and somehow it took you out of like underneath this one building. I think that there needs to be more secret looting doors and all that jazz. Like things were just like straight up just keys for certain doors, and I'm like, no, like
Hmm.
let's add, like, let's hack that door, like more unique
My
ways to
God, give me
interact
some
with the
like,
environment.
yeah, give me some like hidden buttons or something, or like
Yeah,
you got to
yeah,
shoot a panel to open a door. Because there was on perimeter, I think you were with me. There was like this tube that we found like in this ravine where there's like water running through it.
yes,
I'm like, oh,
yes,
where does this tube go? And it goes like through like three open fields into a compound underneath one of the buildings, and we used it to like get into a fight and just like walk up behind somebody.
yep,
And I was like, holy shit, this is sick. They should do more
yeah. I want more of that, right?
routes
I
and things. I
I
would
want
love
like
to figure those out, learn those.
yeah, or like mini games, right? Like hacking doors. Like let me feel
Yeah.
like I'm a cool runner that's tech savvy, and like make it make sense that like we're runners, we're coming here, we're mercenaries. We know how to be crafty and get into certain things. Like not to say that there shouldn't be keys, like obviously that's fine. But let me feel more unique, right? Like let's just give us more ways to interact with the environment and get into certain locations. I think that it's just really important, and just makes the environment feel alive. Again, makes for certain ways to fight. Maybe people aren't paying attention. Make me feel like I have to learn the map, right? In certain areas, that this hatch takes me here, and oh, if we hack this door here, we're gonna go on a cool flank and all this jazz. I think would be awesome. Or I'll find some semi good starter loot that I might get lucky, right? Hacking into this door. Exfil locations. There needs to be more variation. Like I again, more in kin with maybe Tarkov or Arc Raiders, I think would be really important. For example, again, like Arc Raiders kind of implemented this like timed, extraction locations that just disappear at certain parts on the map. I think would be interesting. Or you're solo. Maybe there's again, you're hacking into a door somewhere, and it's a secret way for you to be able to get out of the map. I think would be really important. And this is something that they're going to talk about and have addressed, again, hindsight 2020. um, Bodies needed to be scattered. Was one of the things that I'd put for the alpha, because it needs to feel more abandoned. It felt too clean. Like again, I enjoy the clean angles and certain aesthetic, but it just felt empty. You know what I mean? I mean, we saw this cool short where we're finally able to see some of the four attack, and these people are sort of being exploded, and let there be like scorch marks from when four is like just pillaging these people, or blood marks still everywhere, like dried and all gross. Like, let me feel like this is an abandoned world, and I don't think that they fully did that. So let's.
I think it's interesting you say that because I kind of feel like it feels possibly purposeful, like the whole population just vanished
Yeah,
kind of vibe versus they were slaughtered in their homes kind of vibe.
yeah,
So I wonder if maybe like either they just haven't done that. Maybe it's garnished that they're going to do later kind of thing,
yeah,
or maybe it is like there's some kind of lore where whatever entity showed up and like exploded people and unraveled them also just like deleted their organic remains.
yeah.
Like
To your
maybe that's a
point,
thing. I don't know.
to your point as well, actually, like thinking about it, because like now that I'm watching Dire Marsh, they had those sort of glowy, like sort of translucent, shimmering sort of like bubbles that were like in the middle of the field in certain.
Yeah, the anomaly.
Yeah, those anomalies. And I think that would have been, maybe that plays into, like you're saying, maybe it's meant to feel empty. That being said, in the trailer, we watched a guy sort of just turn into like a puddle of blood, So clothing should be there, something, right? Like, just let's maybe add a tad into it, right? Or, again, maybe that's just something that's just kind of like null and void in terms of my criticism. PVE.
I think these are my notes, so I'll read them.
Yeah.
So like, why are the AI so thick with three C's? All right. There's actually two. I'm adding a third one now.
Oh,
But I'm thinking about it again.
update.
And these enemies took so long to kill. And I get that they want to make PvE combat challenging but not oppressive. But man, if you watch some of our footage where we're like shooting a purple shield, and it's like three of us are shooting the purple shield with conquest, and it takes like 2 mags of conquest ammo each. And it's like the boss isn't moving, it's not hitting us, it's just in the field. And if it was moving, it would just take even longer. And I'm like, this isn't fun, It's grindy. It's more difficult than shooting a scav in Tarkov, I guess. But it's not more dangerous or exciting. It is just slow and boring. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's like my main point on them. And then I think
Yeah,
what?
go ahead.
Sorry, you want to say? Go ahead. Good.
No. Well, I'll say this. Yeah, they were kind of bit of beef boys. I think that I literally just got done seeing Clipper. We're fighting this purple guy in flesh. Like we had to dump each, like you're saying, several mags. Like I'm reloading, and we're barely killing him. Yeah. In terms of survivability, that's kind of not what we want. You know what I mean? It's not just, hey, make them tough to kill. It's like make them more dynamic to kill, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I would be down if I think they kill us fast enough. Like if you get swarmed, like they hurt. Like 2 of them will walk into a building and fly at you and punch you in the jaw and down you. Like they hurt plenty. I think even if you want to increase the number of them would be fine, but I think we just have to kill them faster, like straight up.
Yeah.
Like if you want to have a super special purple boss that has a lot of HP for like one of the incursion events, like the final boss, maybe, go for it. But like the regular ones, like roaming around, should probably die way, way faster because that would make them more fun,
And then there was
Like-
no loot when we'd kill this big, fatty
Yes.
purple boy. And it was just like,
Yeah, they would drop a synchronizer. It's like cool. I have like 40 of these.
Yeah. But let's get into the next note. I know it's really important to both of us.
Yeah, the next note is like, can the AI like suck me off a little bit faster? Like they need to like make some kind of noise so I know and the teammates know that we're getting sucked off. and I need to know that my buddy's getting sucked through a wall. I need some kind of response to that. So like when they're not saying something, I can go over there and help them finish off. All right.
They didn't suck me hard enough, dude. I was like, dude, suck me faster because like,
please.
Like, when I'd get knocked, right? I had plenty of time, right? I'm just getting sucked normally. You know what I mean? They're sucking me, and I'm like, dude, this isn't taking me anywhere. Like, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna.
This isn't dangerous.
Like, I'm not busting. Like, they're just sucking, but they're not sucking me like hard enough. You know what I mean? I was just like, dude, like, I'm getting sucked right now. You have plenty of time. It's gonna be a while. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, I want to be sucked so fast. Like you have to hurry up because I'm gonna blow. Like,
yeah, give us some urgency here.
Yeah, and then the sucking. Like this was something I told Sato. I was like, dude, like I don't know when you're being sucked, bro. Like I need to know when my boy is being sucked because I had no clue. He was getting sucked. I just knew he was down and out. You know, not feeling himself. And now he's getting sucked.
Like we're not asking each other like which runner is getting the best head right now. We're asking each other, did that body even come suck you, or like did he just stand there and stare at you? You know,
I need to hear that you're being sucked because if not, I don't have urgency to know that you're being sucked and that maybe I should see what's going on and see you getting sucked. Like I don't know. So like legit, I'm being legit. We are being legit. There is no suck noise. So like I just don't know. You're just and I have to tell him, hey, I'm being sucked. But maybe you're in a fight. You know what I mean? And you're not paying attention to my comm, but that noise indicator is like, oh, my boy's being sucked. Let me get over there and see him being sucked.
Wouldn't it be nice if I knew the enemy was getting sucked?
Yeah.
So I can go help finish him?
Yeah. Just come on, Bungie. Really? Come on.
Yeah, let me and the bot double team the teammates, all right?
Let me know my man's being sucked. Okay? I need to know.
My last note for PvE is we need more AI variation. I think the USEC bots, which I think are actually USEC runners, but besides that, the USEC is like fine. They're not very interesting or visually distinct as like a sci-fi enemy. I feel like the 4 should have been involved much more, especially for like introducing the game, marketing the game. Like 4 would have given this game a unique visual style that it lacks right now, I think, in fighting enemies, because it feels like you're fighting regular Minecraft blobs instead of fighting a Skyrim dragon. You know what I mean?
I know they're trying to save it for like content, but Bungie, don't. Like the 4 is like, I need to see more than the ticks. You know what I mean? Which they were called the Looker, by the way. You changed it. You didn't need to, but you did. Anyway.
Yeah, we need some marketing.
Like, like, come on, man. Like the 4 is like, I was thoroughly excited. I was like, dude, I can't wait. I'm gonna see something. Oh, they're just AI bots. No, I don't need to see the bots, man. Get the bots out of here, man. Like, listen, keep them in if you want. Like, first off, it kind of breaks also a little bit my immersion because that first trailer, we saw USEC runner, not a bot, a runner himself. And maybe you could add that in there, or if not, you better give me that outfit, or I'm gonna freaking flip the lid. I love that outfit.
Why couldn't the USEC runners just look more like that runner? Like, why are they so blocky and goofy looking?
I don't know. It made zero sense. That it kind of was a little regressive that they used tech like that. And the lore of it is like, right, like the main character, the security guard, he's essentially like a dead Spartan. You know, he's like grafted with machine and all this jazz. And like, why not play more into that factor? But it's okay. You know, it's still not a deal breaker, but I do heavily stress bring the 4 now. Let's not wait for story rollout or whatever. To be honest,
like kick that development up.
Essence. And you kind of need to just, even just from our, aside from just it being a cool thing, we need to, hook players as well. So please.
Yeah, I think we should skip over to PvP really quick.
Yeah. Yes.
Because we're getting really close to our end time.
We are.
These are a bit more general notes, but how do you feel now that we've played it about the shield system? We had base 1 blip of shield. You get a green 2 blip, a blue 3 blip, purple 4 blip, and then a gold would maybe do 2 larger blips. So you would heal 25, like a small cell would do half instead. It's basically healing double, without saying it. But what did you think of the shields?
I think, and these, PvP, literally, it's almost like 1 point in unison, right? Time to kill, and even our other point there. Shields, I was not a fan. Okay, maybe if it was more like, again, I know I keep saying Delta Force, but they're literally a hero shooter too. You know what I mean? They're a hero shooter. Marathon essentially should be following a little bit in the footsteps of what Delta Force is doing, and improving on it, right? But anyway, yeah, I just because they have sections though where you could hit flesh, and it's not just shield, and I think that it makes the time to kill way too long. Like I said, there's so many aspects when we were getting into fights and I'm breaking a guy's shield and now he just runs away. He heals up his shield and it's super quick to heal up your shield.
Yeah, because it takes your whole mag to break the shield. It takes so many bullets. Again, he's got a green.
Yeah. I'm like, holy crap. The beauty of an extraction shooter is that it's the dance, you know what I mean? The dance of the fight. What I'm getting into, how we're fighting. Am I gonna kill you? Am I not gonna kill you? I should feel you need some sense of urgency if you want to stay in that fight or you're gonna heal up. Not that, oh yeah, I could just crouch for half a second, heal up. Now I'm gonna peek. Essentially it was like I was playing Warzone. In Warzone, right, there's this technique where if you get cracked and somebody's pushing you, you could still maybe pump out one shield, cancel your shield, animation, and now you enter in a fight. And you take the fight with only one bit of shield. You could essentially do that in this game. And I don't like that. I want to feel like, oh crap, every fight I'm getting into, I have a chance of losing. And on top of that, if I'm a gray shield, okay, I can't 1v1 anybody. I'm insta-dead.
Yeah.
It's just not fair. It's not fair. It's not a fun element. They need to fix that.
I agree. And I think I talked to Jake about it before the alpha was over. But I could be wrong. It might have been somebody else. But I think Jake said a great idea for it when I was complaining about shields. And it was what if when you're doing headshots, you just bypass the shield? What if the shield's just on chest and legs and stuff? And that adds this level of, if you are good at the game or you get lucky in the amount of shots you're hitting, you can down somebody really fast if you're landing headshots. But if you're hitting body shots, the shield can still protect you. And if you're fighting bots, the bots probably just always hit the shield, right? You could probably make that a setting where the bots can't get headshots.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would make it so shields still matter, because in your average fight, people are going to be hitting a mix, right? They're going to be hitting some body shots, some headshots, and having more shields means you're going to live longer. But in the fight where you are a good player and you're spawning in with green shields and you're up against a team of guys that have purple shields, but the guys with the purple shields are just worse than you, or you catch them by surprise, you can actually kill them before your shield matters. And that's something that we don't have in the game right now. You catch purples off guard right now, and it's it doesn't matter because you could laser them and they're still going to have shield left over by the time they turn around and then kill you.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of... Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a big part, like you're saying. I was just going to sort of riff off what you were saying, and I think it's one of the biggest issues. Like I said, I want to feel like I am,
in control.
Yeah, in control. And that I could think about my fight, right? And have some semblance of thought and play out this chess match as opposed to, and I know it's cheesy, as opposed to playing checkers where I could just turn around. Like I said, there's a difference between when I fight in Warzone and when I fight in an extraction shooter, and you have to know and feel that. But when I feel like both of them are the same, it kind of like throws off the vibe of the game for sure. And if they're not going to add a solo, allow me to fight these characters, and have a chance. And that's another thing that I love about extraction shooters. All of them, you have a chance to fight everybody. It's not to say it's the highest chance, but you do. You do have a chance to fight 1v1, because they're not just going to straight up just rush you all the time. They're going to take their time. And I get it's not the most explosive fight for casuals, but again, this game isn't being built for everyone. So, it's like keep.
And the thing is, in the event like you are picking up this game and you're new to it, what is going to be like a better experience for you, like trying to learn this game? Is it, queuing up, playing against purple shields who you have no chance of killing with your guns before you just lose a 1v1, or having the chance to get lucky and like you hit a couple of good shots, you come up behind somebody, you get to line up a headshot and you get to kill them and you get to take their purple shield because you didn't break it,
Yeah.
like you just win a fight and get to take that, and then now you're on equal footing with his teammates. Like it's just, there's this level of more balance in less fairness, if that makes sense.
No.
Like you're not having a straight up square up with somebody, but it's more fair for you and the other players should have been paying attention. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So really quick, time to kill. I think we're kind of talking about this right now. I think time to kill needs to be faster.
Yep.
The faster the time to kill is, the better the experience as a solo player is, or as one part of a team. You have more impact. Now you get punished for your mistakes more, but that's kind of the feeling you want. You want to feel like, oh, I messed up running out into the middle of the open. Like, that's my fault. My bad. I got downed. But you want to be able to also feel like, ooh, that guy ran into the open. I'm going to teach him he messed up and get that kill. Yeah. So two sides of the coin, you want to feel good about it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Versus you sit there and mag dump 2 mags in the guy and you watch it back and you're like, I guess maybe I should have gotten a bigger magazine so I could fire 5 more shots, I don't know. Yeah. Not as fun to me.
Yeah.
And let's finish up really quick with loot. The loot situation felt like, in terms of like the variety of loot, the materials, the random things, I think it was pretty fine. Like, we need reasons to use money, I think, in terms of the economy. But I felt like we were able to find things, fill up backpacks. It didn't feel like looting was pointless. So, I mean, I think we need a little bit more variety.
Yeah.
And purpose, but not necessarily add more items in. Like, I don't need another thing to sell for money or another med system or things like that. What do you think about like the loot experience?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed looting. I thought looting was fine. Even on controller, I think people were sort of being a little bit more dramatic. It felt great. I thought everything, once you spent time and getting to know everything, I started getting even faster looting because I knew what I was looking for and the things that I wanted. Like consumables, I would pop those right away, or hold on to one to sort of block getting marked by Blackbird. So, I think that I think looting was fine. There needed to be more weapon attachments. I especially in an alpha, it's like, allow us to test the weapon attachment. So it was just like, it was a bit disappointing that that wasn't sort of on the ground. And as I mentioned before too, it's like scatter it throughout the world. a little bit more because I just want to loot more than just, certain areas,
Right. Distribution, I think, could be better.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that I like kind of is they had certain containers when we were in a lot of these compounds, and most of the compounds I want to say had static loot. There might have been a couple boxes that would randomly spawn or not. Like the caches were random. But if you walked into like North Perimeter, you knew like outside of certain doors there was going to be like a core box that would pretty much always spawn one or two cores and then some other stuff. Or there'd be a med box that would always spawn in like this one building. So like when we were loading in, we could be like, yo, I need some shields. Let's go to like the shield place. So I like that was a thing. I would just like to see, like you said, maybe some distribution, like take some of those shield things and maybe just put it in the middle of the map. It's not in a compound. But like if we're trying to sneak around and or we got like some crazy fights or something, and it's like, yo, let's avoid the compounds where people are trying to go and go in between. There's like this med place in this shack out here that's not in the map, or there's this place where we can get some cores or some guns, like an armory maybe, and be like, let's loot up.
Containers too. I did like containers. I will say that, and the highlights on them I thought was really cool. Seeing them open, I think that was designed really well. So that's not bad. So I'll give them that too. It's like it was very easy to sort of pick up on what to loot and how to loot it. I still kind of wish there was a little bit more like loose. You know what I mean? Loot as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Just again, that's more of like atmospheric. I think making it feel more lived in. Let's throw loot, everywhere else besides certain boxes. But yeah, I think that sort of more or less, right, concludes thoughts on the alpha. At the end of the day, how did I feel about the alpha? I felt good. I felt that they had a really base. Are they fully there yet? No. Obviously, right? Like we had 2 hours essentially of critique of things that we would like for them to change, right? And for the better. But does Marathon have high potential? Do I think it's going to live despite all the negativity that's sort of, being thrusted on them? Yes, I think so. Marathon I think it's great for an extraction shooter. I know people are saying that they want a single player, and that'll be a cool like side project, something that they could do and put out. But as an extraction shooter, I think this fits. I think it fits for a live service. It's not that I know it does. And I think it's, unfortunate the amount of negativity that they're facing, and to be honest, some warranted. You know what I mean? But others not so. It's not so warranted, some of the hate that they're sort of receiving. I think that when this game comes out, is it going to be in a main extraction shooter that I'm going to play? 100%, most definitely, as well as Arc Raiders and Delta Force. I think those are all going to be a lot of variation. To also address Arc Raiders is great. One thing people were saying that what's the hook between this game and I think it's the universe is the hook, and who knows if they're raid mechanics, like we still haven't seen what that's going to look like. And as all extraction shooters, they have potential of adding tons of stuff. It's a live service, my goodness gracious. That's what makes live services so great, is that they can be built upon even after they're sort of released. But I think what's the hook for Arc Raiders, is my response to that too. It's just another extraction shooter, except it's in third person. Like, the AI is really cool, and I called out from day one that the AI for both Marathon and Arc Raiders was going to be really great. Why for Arc Raiders? Well, Arc Raiders was being built as a cooperative looter shooter first, so AI has to feel good. And then for Bungie, they're always developing unique and fun AI to fight. So I have high hopes. I think it's going to be great. I think that let's sort of take a moment from being harsh. If this game's not for you, that's fine. But I think it's going to have a player base. I don't think it's going to die. No, it's not going to ever be Concord. Like, even people that are highly critical of the game are saying that it's not going to. Um, and I think it'll have a player base, maybe small, but you don't need a huge player base for an extraction shooter. You know what I mean? You're not going
Yeah.
for this massive player base. You're looking for, you know, like I said, I want something small, and I want something that it's just people passionate about the game. And before I, you know, give this to Sadow for final thoughts, I thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. We love doing these podcasts. You know what I mean? Not great. What a great title. Thank you, Jason Schreier. And yeah, hopefully well, I can't wait for the next one. We're going to have a lot of, you know, predictions and other things that we want to talk about.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really cool. I think
we're going to talk about the future. We want to talk about like what we might see in like a public beta, things that we want to see for release. Now that, you know, we're recording this, and like we said, this is a re-recording. But right now, we can say in present terms the game was delayed, right? So we can think about things that maybe weren't originally on the list that might now be able to get put in before 1.0. We might be a bit further away from a beta than we were before, but it could be a much more exciting piece of content now. So that's what we want to do for the next one, is kind of look forward at what the future is between now and 1.0. We can probably talk about the stuff that's come out of the current alpha that's going on.
Yeah.
I didn't get in. I'm assuming you didn't get in because I feel like you would have told me if you did, and we just wouldn't have this bit right now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. NDA wise, you know, I probably wouldn't have been able to, you know, tell you guys, but I would have probably talked to that out. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
I think each other would have known by this point. I don't know if because last time that son of a gun, when he got
didn't tell us. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. He's got a lot to do, so if he gets an invite, that's his prerogative. But yeah, he's got, you know, stuff going on right now, so hopefully he might have gotten in and gets to play it. But whoever is in, I hope they got, you know, a good set of people that are giving good feedback on their surveys and stuff. But I think a lot of the stuff that we had on here got somewhat addressed, you know. But we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
So for now,
we'll say that for now.
just to wrap us up, I think Marathon is a great foundation. There was a lot of things that I think needed to be touched up, because I think Bungie underestimated how many people are into the idea of playing solo or not in trios. And for the longevity of the game, I think it's important to address that and let that be an option. So I want to see how that goes. There's a lot of things for them to touch up on, a lot of the graphic design and proxy chat, thank God, is going to be in the game. So that by itself, I think, is a massive improvement to the game. Is going to make the solo experience a lot better. And I really want to see what they can do once we get to a beta for us to play more. I think a lot of you would really enjoy the game if you got to play it for a bit. I'm sure there's going to be some of you who are interested now, and if you play it, you might not like it, and that's, you know, totally okay if it's not for you. But I really want you to be able to play it so that you can kind of compare your experience playing it with ours, because watching it is definitely a different experience. So I hope soon we get to hear news about that.
Yeah, I think getting hands-on was really important. You know, and it gave me definitely a different perspective in a lot of ways. If I would have just watched it, I probably could have been like, oh, I don't like this, and this, and this. And again, the whole purpose of the video was like, we're not biased, right? Like, you know, to a degree, but I know when to sort of set that aside and sort of focus on, you know, the that focus on good criticism and honest criticism as opposed to I'm just stroking their ego. You know what I mean? And I'm not here to stroke their ego. I want an extraction shooter that I never want to leave. You know, and this I want this game to be that, right? I want to every day, like it's almost like Warzone. When it first came out, that was a game. What am I playing tomorrow? Warzone. What am I playing the day after? Warzone. Like I knew what I wanted to, and I was excited to sort of dive into it. Now it changed because, Call of Duty. Unfortunately, they just always develop sort of things that you run out. But that's a topic for a different time. But in terms of like this game, like I want to be able to be like, hey Sato, like we're playing this, right? Oh hey, wait, tomorrow you're gonna play this, right? Hey, next week you're gonna play. Like I just want to be so like deep and like just engulfed in.
Yeah, I want to be so deep in Marathon that when they suck us off, we can hear it through the building.
I want to hear. I
just,
you know what I mean. I want to feel. No, I'm just kidding. Now 40. I want to feel happy in this game to be great, and I know it has potential. I'm still very excited. I thank Bungie for wanting to develop something like this and their resilience to continue to do it. Yeah, you could say that there's the factors as to why they have to, but I also think that there are plenty of people that are passionate about creating this. A lot of people are like, they're just trend chasing. Again, extraction shooters, let me tell you something. There's not going to be a lot that are going to survive anyway. And so if they are trend chasing, right, there's the extraction shooters are going to fail at some point. That being said, I don't think this is a trend chase. I think they had fun playing it. And they even talked about this. There's several reportings that they played extraction shooters at the time they were playing Tarkov, and they're like, we can do something like this, and that's cool. That's how games are made, and I'm glad they're taking a stab at it, and I'm glad all these other people are too, because let's be honest, that genre is not super out there. It's not super popular. It's not battle royale. People aren't like fiending for it, so. And that's okay. It's a new genre. It's still in its infancy.
I'm glad that they are taking the feedback that from us and from you and from whoever else online, discourse and creators going in. They've taken that feedback and they are wanting to actively, work on the game, develop the concept, and make it something that's going to be good on release. They're not pushing it out early access right now, going past $40, and then saying we're going to work on it. They did pull the release. They did say what they're going to work on, what focuses they want to have. They said they're going to do more testing to have more feedback and work on more things. They want this game to work. And they don't want it to necessarily be perfect. Nothing's ever going to be the best thing of all time. Something's going to have to be improved here or there. But they do want this game to come out to meet the expectations to some degree. They want it to be a competent extraction shooter. They don't want to pull the punches. They want it to live up to the Marathon IP. So I can respect that and appreciate that that's what they want to do. Whether it releases in this fiscal year or not, I'm not terribly concerned about. As long as they are going to give us more updates, I would like us to be more open with the Bungie dev team about like, what's the state of the game? What's it looking like? What are they working on? Now that we've been able to play it and see it, I think having that open communication would be very good. So, just give us an update every couple of months or two, once a quarter maybe. Just let us know what's up. And I would love to follow along and see what improvements they can make in the time that they have. Because I want to play this game more. I had a great time playing with you, Jake, our other friends. And I have many other people who I've wanted to play with and have been like, yo, can't wait till this comes out so we can play. And I'm like, yeah, eventually. So I found myself thinking about this again, the last couple of weeks now that we're not sick and we're not busy and I'm making more content and working on things. I am like, yeah, this game was fun to play. And I'm happy about it. 2 months later, like, man, I can't wait. I can't believe I'm not going to get to play it in 2 more months. but
Yeah.
hopefully it's the better for it. But I think we'll wrap this up because
Yes.
we are going a bit over our time.
Yes.
So this is like, what, a 3-hour video now instead of 2 hours?
It's
Congratulations, guys. I don't know how we did it. We
2:37.
talked even more.
Holy.
But
Yeah, we hope you guys.
thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Like, you'll see it on Sato's channel, right?
Yeah, check out Justin's channel. It should be linked down below. I'm sure I have a link in the first one, so I'll grab the link from the first one and post it in this one too. So we'll have
more voiceover things for you.
True. I mean, I haven't been putting out enough stuff at all, period. I was in a little bit of a down slope on getting videos done, so I'm trying to push it back on the upswing. You know, really dive into this. I have the marathon, or not the marathon, the Destiny expansion coming up this month.
Yeah.
So I'm really focused on Destiny right now. It's kind of what I've been doing for the last month, is getting ready for the raid, because we will be raiding on the 19th. I will be live on Twitch if you want to watch. We're going to be doing not the raid race, but we're going to do contest. We're going to, do it on the super hard mode. Hopefully get it done. We've done it most other times where I didn't get sick in the middle of it. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be live all week of the 15th. I took off work the whole week. So I'll be streaming the entire week, like 8 hours a day, pretty much, grinding. So we can talk about Marathon. You can hop on there if you want to, chat, Justin. I know you work. You actually have to go out to work, so you might not be able to most of the time. But whenever you have a chance, you want to drop by.
Even to that, we got Delta Force coming out on console in August, so you and I we gotta make some content. Maybe do some comparisons.
I still seen a lot of complaints about the kernel anti-cheat or whatever they're doing on Steam. Giving them access to like your files or whatever. So we'll see. I gotta see how they're doing.
Hey, if that's something that you're interested in, that would be a lot of fun. Ready or Not's coming out to consoles. Well, I don't know if you're into that game at some point.
I literally just bought it, so I don't know yet.
Okay.
I haven't played it yet. I bought it on a Steam sale because I was like, it's half price.
It comes out in August, it comes out the 15th, July 15th. So.
Oh well, I ain't gonna be playing that day. That's the Destiny expansion day. but eventually,
at some point, that would be a lot of fun for us to sort of play that together. I think it would be kind of cool to experience. I actually got a crew as well, so we'll have a decent amount of people that never played it. We'll all kind of learn together. It'll be kind of fun. I think it's up to 6 players co-op. So
that's crazy.
A blast.
It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, but it was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Justin, for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We have another one that we're going to do going into the future, like we said. We're probably going to continue doing it over time, but we'll talk more about that hopefully before we film the next one. This I'm going to try and get out July 5th. Hopefully, if it's not that date, you can complain to me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let us know if you have any games you want us to play together, things you want us to talk about, maybe. If you got other people that you want us to drag into this, we're open to drag them in, but it might get even longer at that point. Oh no, more stuff for you to watch. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope to see you all again very, very soon. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys and goodbye to Justin. Justin, you can say goodbye too.
Yes. Again, thank you again. It's been a blast for me and Sato doing this, sort of like these little podcast episodes in regards to being connected with Marathon. We'd totally love to do some more stuff, even have further ideas that we'll discuss with him after this. Thank you always for having me. And again, I thank the Marathon community for being so sweet to me, and accepting all my little voiceover cameos with people and doing other stuff. So check out my website, Justin Guerrero Voice, or website and YouTube, Justin Guerrero Voiceover. That is where you'll find me. You'll get to see some cool little videos. I'll do some more stuff. If you guys have more requests, leave that in comments anywhere and let me know. I think it'll be really cool. And what else? There was going to be something else I had to say that was going to be fun. But either way, just subscribe, like, comment. Love you. Peace.
See ya.